Hi everyone. Uh, I am here to discuss previous year questions of verbal ability for your help. As we all know that a lot of companies are going to start with their recruitment process, and in many videos I have already discussed that verbal ability plays a very crucial role in clearing in making the students clear the first written round. So as I think you most of you are quite aware about the rounds that the sections that are there in the written round, right? QA, VA, LR, right? All these things you have to qualify in order to get to the interview round. So when we talk about verbal ability, it is basically grammar. It talks about grammar, but not that grammar that we studied in class 12th or 10th. Not that kind of a grammar. It basically checks the comprehension ability. If the student, if the candidate is if the candidate is having good knowledge of sentence structures, the candidate knows whether a sentence is grammatically correct or incorrect, right? Whether candidate understands a reading comprehension and is able to solve questions related to it. So basically, those are the questions that verbal ability deals with. If I talk about placements, right? When we talk about any company's recruitment, so the first thing that you all must understand that I have already addressed this, that but again I'm going to do it, that every company has a different parameter of giving the questions. They have different patterns. Sometimes you might get 25 questions, sometimes you might get 20, right? But the thing that you have to understand is sectional cutoff is there. So it doesn't matter even if you have solved all the questions of QA or LR, but then the section of verbal ability needs to be qualified. So it is important for you to meet the sectional cutoff. Otherwise, you will not be able to qualify the written test. Each question carries equal marks. Every question has a 1 mark each, right? And there is no negative marking. The best part is like when we talk about competitive exams, when we talk about GRE, GMAT, and other competitive exams, we do have negative marking in verbal ability section. But when we talk about recruitment tests, there is no negative marking. So that is the one plus point, and I always tell my students to attempt all the questions which are coming. We need not to lose or leave any question. You need to attempt all the questions. So there is no negative marking. So let's get started without any further ado. I've tried to take up different kinds of questions so that I'm able to go through and make you understand of each pattern of each type of questions, right? So the first one over here is sentence correction. The question, always read the instructions of the questions very carefully, guys, because when I talk to my students, many times I have understood that many of them, they make silly mistakes. Why because they did not read the instructions of the questions carefully. So the one thing that I would want you to know, and I want you to be adamant about, is read the instructions carefully. Choose the option that best corrects the underlined part of the sentence. Maybe there is an underlined part, maybe there is a bold part. So you have to see that how what the question is expecting you to do. So this is a statement that is given to you. You have to find out that which part has the error. So it says each of the team members have given their inputs for the project, right? So what I'll do is I'll bold the answer for you so that you understand and you remember that. So the sentence is saying each of the team members have given their inputs for the project. Now those who have been attending my classes, I have many times I have told you that with each we do not use any person what do I say helping verb that is used for plurals, right? So the helping verb over here is used for plural, which is have. That is why this part of the sentence is incorrect, right? Each of the team members have given their inputs for the project. This is the incorrect part. So this would be the replacement, right? Each of the team members has given uh, has given the inputs for the project. Okay, so now there is another thing, that if we are using has, now we need to understand whether his or her will be used or whether there will be used. So as over here I have chosen this A option. It will not be the option. Why? Because with has it is also using there. Again, it is making your sentence incorrect, right? So C option should be the correct one. each of the team members has given his inputs. Basically his or her should be there, but the first if these options are given to you, always go for his, because that is the only helping verb, that is the only pronoun that best replaces and which can be used with each. Otherwise, if in the options you have gotten has given his or her inputs, choose that one. That will be the correct one. Okay, the second one is identify the sentence with no grammatical error. So we have to understand where there is no grammatical error. So for this, we need to understand the basic rules of grammar. The first sentence is neither of the two proposals were accepted. Now here were is used with neither. That makes the sentence grammatically incorrect. She was late because of the traffic jam. I do not find any grammatical error till now in this sentence. The teacher along with the students are preparing for the event. Now over here are is used, but the subject that we need to consider is teacher, which is singular. So again, this is making the sentence incorrect. Each one of them are responsible for the outcome. As I discussed in the first question, each of them are. It is also making the sentence incorrect. So the only sentence which is grammatically correct is B1. She was late because of the traffic jam, right? Each, along with each, guys, we use only singular verbs. Along with either, neither, also we use singular helping verbs. And in the C sentence, the teacher along with the students. Now this along with the students is only mentioned here to confuse you. The subject that we are talking about is the teacher only, and because the teacher is singular, we cannot use are. That is why the sentence is incorrect. Okay, third one. Find the error in the sentence below. The furniture in the room along with the carpets were selected carefully by the designer. So as I have discussed in the question number 2, that the teacher along with the students are preparing is incorrect. Why? Because the major subject is the teacher. The same way over here, the subject is the furniture. The furniture in the room along with the carpets were selected carefully by the designer. So it should be was selected carefully, because basically we are only talking about the furniture and we are not talking about the carpets. So generally what happens is the students say, okay, furniture is also there, carpets is also there, so it is plural, and that is why verb should be correct. But it is not that case, right? Furniture is the only subject that is being talked about in this sentence. Okay, now it is kind of a theme detection passage. So let's read the passage. The advent of technology has transformed the way businesses operate. So it is saying that with the growth of technology, how the businesses operate these days, it has changed a lot. If we compare how the businesses operate nowadays and if how they had been operating, years back, it is very much changed now. From data analysis to customer interaction, technological tools have played a pivotal role in driving efficiency. So it is talking about customer interaction, it is talking about data analysis, that technology has played a very pivotal role in driving efficiency. It is making things efficient, right? However, now it is contradicting the statement. The integration of technology also comes with challenges such as cybersecurity risks and the need for continuous upskilling of the workforce. Although there are a lot of benefits of technology, but the integration of technology also comes with challenges. There are various challenges also, like cybersecurity risks are there and the need of continuous upskilling of the workforce. So basically, it is talking about how technology has helped to grow the businesses. So question number 1 says, what is the one advantage of technology mentioned in the passage? So always understand, guys, do not overthink when we are solving reading comprehensions. Many of the students make mistakes in overthinking the passage. भले ही वो information लिखी नहीं है, but what do is we overthink and we think नहीं यार ऐसा तो हो सकता है, and we choose the options incorrectly. So don't do that, right? Now see, which is one advantage of technology mentioned in the passage? Reduction in workforce cannot be an advantage. Improved data analysis, yes, that can be an advantage. It is written over here. Decrease cybersecurity risks? No, it is saying that there are challenges that we have to work on cybersecurity risks. Because of technology, they have increased. We are not saying that they have decreased. So it is not the option. Enhanced marketing campaigns? Nowhere it is talking about marketing campaigns, guys, in the passage, right? So the option number B is going to be the correct answer. Improved data analysis. What is a challenge associated with technology as per the passage? So we already talked about that increased cybersecurity risk. That is one challenge, right? Then what else is there? there is continuous need of upskilling, right? It is very clearly said that there is need of upskilling the workforce. So obviously, if that option of cybersecurity is not mentioned, so this is going to be your correct answer. There is a lot of need of upskilling the workforce. That is the challenge which is associated with technology as per the passage. Okay, the passage primarily discusses, what is it discussing? Advantages of traditional business methods, impact of business on technology on businesses, importance of cybersecurity, or strategies for workforce. No, it is talking about how the technology has impacted the businesses, both in negative and positive ways. Okay. So while solving reading comprehensions, always understand that always understand what is mentioned in the passage and do not overthink. Okay. Okay, coming to question number 7, it says choose the word that is most similar in the meaning to profession. Now, while solving vocabulary, guys, see, vocabulary is like an ocean. No matter how much you try, you will never be able to complete all the words, everything. You will never be in a position that you know all the words related to the vocabulary questions, right? So what do we do is always use the elimination method, always use the odd one out method. So if there are 4 options given to you, those options which are similar to each other, always eliminate them. Any similar answer, any similar option cannot be your answer. The odd one out, the word that is the most odd, will surely be your answer. So the word proficient, what does this now? Always, again, I'm repeating myself. Read the instructions very carefully. Sometimes what the students do is similar पूछा होता है वो opposite लगा देते हैं, and if it is asking opposite, they mark the similar option. So always read the instructions very carefully. So the question is choose a word that is most similar to the meaning proficient. Now let's see, inept, ignorant, unaware. All these 3 are negative words. Unaware doesn't know anything, ignorant doesn't want to know anything, inept, not skilled. Skilled is one word that is going the odd, or it is the odd one out, and it is the positive word. Obviously, proficient is a positive word, so we are going to choose the meaning which is positive in that terms, right? Okay, question number 8. Choose the word that is opposite to the meaning of obscure. Now see, clear, ambiguous, vague, hidden. All these 3 words, ambiguous, vague, hidden, are negative, and ambiguous means not clear, vague means not clear, hidden also means not clear. So the only option that is the odd one out is going to be clear, right? So obscure, the meaning of obscure is ambiguous, hidden, not very clear, and the opposite to the meaning will be clear. Question number 9. Select the correct word to complete the sentence. She is known for her dash decisions during critical situations. Now, rash decisions during critical situation, why will she be known for something which is wrong? So obviously the sentence is asking for a positive word, right? Negligent, hasty, all these are negative words. Prudent means quick, right? A lot of when somebody is prudent, that means she is quick and she's right also. So she is known for her quick and good decisions during critical situations. Okay, question number 10 is asking you to arrange the following sentences to form a coherent paragraph. Now, the first thing is you have to find out which sentence is going to begin your paragraph. If you find out the first and the last sentence, always tally the options and you are good to go. You are going to find out the answer. Effective communication is a key to professional success. Definitely it is going to begin the paragraph. It enables clear understanding and minimizes conflicts. Now, 1 and 2 are a mandatory pair. So, guys, what I suggest my students is if you are able to find the mandatory pair, if you are able to find, okay, 1 and 2 are going to be together, or 2 and 3 are going to be together, or 1 and 4 are going to be together, options mein dekho which option is having those 2 sentences together, right? Eliminate all the other options and choose that one. That is going to be your answer. So when you know that 1 and 2 is going to be a mandatory pair, the only option that is with 1 and 2 beginning the sentence or having 1 and 2 together is option number B. So option number B is going to be your correct answer. Effective communication is a key to professional success. It enables clear understanding and minimizes conflicts. Then it says poor communication often leads to misunderstandings. Developing communication skills should be a priority. So this is your correct answer. हमेशा देख लो which is the mandatory pair. You know that okay, this is the sentence which is going to begin my paragraph, and these are the 2 sentences which will be together only. So find out that option, choose that option, you're good to go. Now, there is an jumbled words to form a meaningful sentence, right? So there are words that are given to us. We have to find out which sentence is going to be meaningfully arranged. Education is the best investment in future. Investment in the future is best education. The best investment is in education future. No, I think this is going to be your correct answer. Education is the best investment in future. This is what we will say कि हम education करते हैं, so that is one of the best investments we can do in future. Rest all the three sentences are not making any sense. So this is going to be your correct sentence from the jumbled words. Okay. Now question number 12 is asking you to find the synonym. Synonym means similar word, right? So resilient is the word that is given to you. Fragile, tough, weak, brittle. Now, see, as I told you, odd one out, resilient means somebody who can go through or who is able to, face problems and is consistent in his approach. Fragile, weak, brittle means easily broken, kamzor, weak. So, tough is the only synonym that is being given over here for the word resilient. Resilient means tough, right? Okay. 13th one, find the antonym for augment. Now augment, increase, expand, reduce, enhance. Augment matlab hota hai to increase, to expand, and the question is asking you to find out the antonym. Antonym means the opposite. So obviously reduce is going to be the opposite. When augment means to increase, to expand, so reduce is going to be the opposite of it. Okay, fill in the blanks with the most appropriate word. Uh, so there is a sentence given to you. You have to find out which word is going to fill in the sentence properly. Okay, in sentence completion category, guys, always remember that what do you do is you find out the feel of what the blank is asking you, right? Okay, so we have to understand what is the feel of the blank. The company needs to adopt more dash strategies to remain competitive. So when you are reading the statement now, understand if it is positive, if it is negative, if it is neutral. So if I say, I got up very late today and I was dashed to go to the college. Obviously, it is going to be a negative word. I was unable to go to the college because I woke up very late, right? Uh, because the stock was really good, I could dash a lot of things from the market. So obviously it is going to be something which is positive because the stock was good. So I bought a lot of things from the market. She was not feeling well today, so she did not dash the classes. Now this is something which is not having any kind of positive or negative. It is a neutral blank that we need to focus on. So whenever you are reading the statement, understand what is expected out of you to fill in the blank, whether it is a positive word, whether it is a negative word, or whether it is a neutral word. According to that, find out the answer. According to that, consider the options, because there might be a possibility that you do not know the meanings of the words, the options that are given to you. So in that case, even if you are making a guesswork, understand that if a word is starting from in discipline, it is going to be negative. If a word is starting from you and un, it is going to be negative. So when the root words or the prefix suffix comes up in together, so that helps you to understand what kind of word is going to be there in the blank, right? So the company needs to adopt more dash strategies to remain competitive. Now, obviously, that the sentence is going to be using a positive word because they are looking for some strategies to remain competitive in the market. So we have to find out some word which is positive. Outdated, redundant cannot be there. Obsolete cannot be there. Obsolete matlab jo kho chuka hai, which is long lost. Outdated also is the same. Redundant means repetitive, very boring. So innovative is going to be the word that is going to fill in the blank. As I told you, the blank requires something which is positive. Okay. Next, he tried to dash the topic during the meeting. Which became a problem for him. So it is already mentioned in the statement, guys, that he did something during the meeting which became a problem for him. That means the word needs to be negative only. If he would have tried to address the topic, confront the topic, resolve the topic, then it would not have been a problem for him. So obviously he wanted to ignore, evade, remove the topic during the meeting, that became a problem for him. So evade is going to be the correct answer. Okay, error identification. Find the part of the sentence that contains an error. Okay, in this case, you have to find out where the error lies. Each of the employees have completed their task. It is being asked a lot in the questions, in the exams. Each ke saath singular, each ke saath singular. So as I have been explaining you the same thing. So understand where is the error. Here is the error. It has to be has completed. Okay. Identify the error. She did not knew the answer to the question. Guys, whenever you use did, you have to use the first form of verb. So knew is not okay. Knew will be wrong, and it has to be no. She did not know the answer to the question, then the sentence will be correct. Because with did, we do not use second form or the third form, because did itself is a second form. So you cannot use two second forms together. With did, you are going to use the first form. Okay, now critical reasoning, which of the following assumptions is implicit in the statement? Now you have to understand what assumption is being given in the statement. Companies that invest in employee training see a significant increase in productivity. So the sentence is saying those companies which invest in training the employees, they see an increase in the productivity of their company. So training programs are costly. It is not at all talked about in the sentence. Employee productivity depends only on training. No, it is not saying that. Employee training is essential for productivity. Absolutely, it is saying that if you are training your employees, it is going to increase your productivity. See, always understand, you have to ignore very strict words like only, are costly. So it is not saying that. Employee training is essential for productivity. That is what is being talked about in the statement. Training reduces employee turnover. कहीं पे बात नहीं हुई है ऐसी कोई. So C option is going to be the correct one. 19th one, which of the following conclusions can be drawn from the statement? The government has increased funding for renewable energy projects. The sentence is saying that the government they have increased the funding, the money that they are using for renewable energy projects. That is the statement. The government is promoting sustainable practices. Okay, because they have increased the funding, so obviously they are promoting sustainable practices. Renewable energy is expensive to produce. कहीं पे ऐसा नहीं लिखा. It is nowhere mentioned that it is expensive or it is not expensive. It is not being talked about. So you are going to remove option number B. Non-renewable energy sources are declining. There is no such mention in the sentence. Funding for other projects will decrease. Again, no mention. So obviously, A is going to be your correct answer. The government is promoting sustainable practices, and how they are promoting sustainable practices? By funding renewable energy projects. Okay. So in these kind of statements, guys, जब assumption पूछ रहा है, conclusion पूछ रहा है, always read the sentence and think accordingly. Do not overthink. Do not use your own guesswork. Do not think कि नहीं अगर ऐसा है तो ऐसा भी हो सकता है. No, whatever is mentioned, whatever is there on the question paper, understand that and select the answer. Okay. Sentence number 20, question number 20. Complete the sentence. So if I would have attended the meeting. The sentence is from conditionals. It is I think it's the third conditional statement. अगर ऐसा हुआ होता तो मैंने ऐसा किया होता. So always remember would have attended. If model plus have plus third form of verb is written, so in the first part there has to be past perfect plus third form. Okay, past perfect plus third form. Past perfect plus third form. This is going to be your correct answer. If I had known, I would have attended the meeting. So always remember that if would have attended is written, model plus have plus third form of verb is written, then past perfect ही आएगा. अगर लिखा होता if I would attend the meeting, then will use होता. Okay, so there are like 4 types of conditional sentences. 0, first, second, and third. They all have different rules. So understand that this is a second conditional statement. So had known will be the correct answer. Okay, question number 21. Select the appropriate word to fill in the blank. She insisted that he dash on time. Now, when she's insisting on something, So she's talking about something that happens on a regular basis. वो कह रही है कि वो हमेशा ऐसा करता है. She's insisting on something that happens on a regular basis. So she insisted that he arrives on time. This is going to be your correct answer. Arrived नहीं होगा. She insisted that he arrived on time. It will not be the correct statement. Why? Because first thing, because it is there in inverted commas. That means it is something. It is a part of speech. The person is saying that. तो अराइव्ड नहीं आ सकता क्योंकि वो इस पे इंसिस्ट नहीं करेगी. शी इंसिस्टेड दैट ही अराइव्स ऑन टाइम. ही ऑलवेज कम्स ऑन टाइम. दैट इज व्हाट शी इज इंसिस्टिंग ऑन. सो दिस इज गोइंग टू बी द करेक्ट आंसर. Okay, rearrange the words to form a meaningful sentence. Success depends preparation on thorough. So it is basically saying success depends on thorough preparation, right? It will not be anything else. Dependency on of success is definitely on thorough preparation. If you're preparing thoroughly, you will surely be successful. So this is the correct answer. 23. Choose the correct sentence. He don't have any idea about the plan, guys. Remember, we do not use don't. We use does not in present tense. He doesn't has. Now with does not, we do not use has. We use have. That is another rule. He doesn't have any idea about the plan. Yes, for sure. This can be your correct answer. He doesn't has, don't has. No, no, not at all. With I, you, we, they plural, we use do not. And with he, she, it singular nouns, we use does not. And with does not, we do not use has, we use have. He doesn't have, right? He doesn't have any idea about the plan. Okay, question number 24. Identify the part of the sentence that has an error. She has been working here since 5 years. So now, since and for, the difference between since and for is for talks about duration, 5 years, 10 years, Since talks about a period of time, specific period of time, since 1 o'clock, since 2 o'clock, since 1983, since Monday, since Tuesday. So because we are talking about duration of time, 5 saal, we do not know which 5 saal, where, what 5 years are we talking about? It is not specific time. So here is the error. Okay, it should be for. She has been working here for 5 years. Had the sentence been she has been working here since 2010, then it would have been since. It cannot be for. But here it is talking about duration of time, so it has to be since. Okay, question number 25. Choose the most appropriate option to complete the sentence. The meeting was postponed dash the unavailability of the manager. So it has to be due to the unavailability of the manager. Because नहीं fit हो रहा है, sentence ऐसा होता because the manager was unavailable, comma, the meeting was postponed, correct? Since the manager was unavailable, the meeting was postponed, okay. For we will not be using here, but the sentence is formed in a way where due to will be used. The meeting was postponed due to the unavailability of the manager, right? So yeah, I try to take up the sentences, the questions that are coming up in the exams these days, basically about the English grammar, usage of each, neither nor, either or, proximity rule, conditional statements. They are a lot. These are some questions which will surely be hitting you in your exams. So make sure that you know all the rules of basic English grammar, specifically the questions that I have mentioned here. Each, either or, neither nor, not only but also, rule of proximity, conditional statements. Definitely they are going to hit you on. Okay, so practice well, guys. All the many of the companies are going to come up, so the only way is practice as much as you can. Do not leave any question, and attempt all the questions and practice. That is the only way how you can do it. Thank you, everyone.
Perfect. So, welcome to our today's class, which is on your TCS NQT Verbal Ability Mock Test 1. So, if you remember, for the last video, I had actually come up with a few sample questions from the paper directly. And similarly, today also I've come up with a few mock test questions that you guys could all avail, right? So, without further delay, let's start looking at the questions. Now, if you look at this first question out here, it's an example of a closed test passage. So you see there is one paragraph which has approximately 10 blanks, and for each blank we are having 4 options that we need to select from. So our job is to start and figure out which one is going to fit for blank 1, for blank 2, etc. Okay, so I'd suggest that you guys actually solve the passage alongside with me. The first blank says, once upon a time there dash a man called Damocles. Okay, now the way I would want you guys to maybe respond is you can just quickly put in A, B, C, D, because if you try and type the entire thing, it's going to take a lot of time. So what do you think would be the correct option for blank 1? Once upon a time there living a man called Damocles, there live a man called Damocles, there lived a man called Damocles, or there live in a man called Damocles. Okay, and I'm going to keep viewing your chat so that I can see what responses are coming in. Okay, so Anchal says C, Saket says C, Vijay says C. All right, so I see a lot of C coming in, right? And that is the correct answer to the first one, that once upon a time there lived a man called Damocles. Okay, now coming to blank number 2. A friend of his eventually dashed the ruler of a small city. A friend of his eventually dashed the ruler of a small city. So is it going to be a friend of his eventually become, a friend of his eventually became, a friend of his eventually becoming, or a friend of his eventually has become the ruler of a small city? Which one do you think would be the correct option for blank 2? You guys could again put in whatever you think is the correct answer. All right, so I see D, I see B. All right, I see a little tie between B and D happening out here. Awesome. A lot of people think it's going to be B, and a couple of people think it's going to be D. Someone's also saying A. All right. So without keeping more Ras, the correct answer is B, right? So once upon a time there lived a man called Damocles. A friend of his eventually became the ruler of a small city. Now, why is it became and not anything else, guys? Because whenever it comes to these passages, we try to use the concept of parallelism. What does that mean? That if I am starting the paragraph in a past tense, I will try and stick to past tense throughout the paragraph. I will not try and make it past perfect. I will not try and make it past continuous. I want to try and stick to the same tense, right? So because we use there lived a man called Damocles, out here also we will use simple past tense, which is a friend of his eventually became the ruler of a small city. Okay. Now for blank 3, Damocles thought, how lucky my friend dash is, was, it, were. Okay, so what do you think is going to be the blanks, correct option out here? Again, you guys could start putting in your comments. Is it going to be is it going to be was, it, or were? Which one? So I see an A coming in right now. Okay. How lucky my friend is. All right. Others, can you guys guess? Was. Okay, Aditya says was. A lot of B's coming in. Perfect. So maximum people are saying was. Again, using the simple concept of parallelism, it would ideally be out here was. Okay, that Damocles thought how lucky my friend was. But for example, you have stuff like honesty is the best policy. Okay, it is never honesty was the best policy, right? So this is where you actually tend to or may get confused when it comes to close test or when it comes to tense, that the friend is still lucky. It's not that the friend was lucky. We're not talking about the past, we're still talking about the present. So that's why I introduced the concept of parallelism to you initially, and then when I give you another question, you see it does get us confused. But when it comes to luck, when it comes to standard statements like sun rises in the east, it eventually stays the same. Okay, coming to blank 4, he dash now a ruler. Okay, so he be now a ruler, he was now a ruler, he is now a ruler, and he will now a ruler. Please put in your answer options carefully. Think a little bit before you actually tend to reply. Once upon a time there lived a man called Damocles. A friend of his eventually became the ruler of a small city. Damocles thought how lucky my friend is. He dash now a ruler. Okay, what is it? He be a ruler, he was now a ruler, he is now a ruler, or he will now a ruler. So I see is, I see C, I see A. okay, is, all right. All right, I see a lot of answer options coming in. The correct answer is. Okay, C is your correct answer. That how lucky my friend is. He is now a ruler. So you see, we are transitioning now. We were talking about the past. Now we are talking about what's happening right now. That once upon a time there lived such a man. His friend became the ruler. He thought how lucky my friend is. He is now a ruler. Okay. He must dash a great time. He must dash a great time. He must be has a great time. He must be having a great time. He must be had a great time. And he must be have a great time. Which one is going to be the correct answer for blank number 5? Up till now, your progress has been very good. Yes, Saket, I have some thunder happening. I'm streaming from Kolkata right now. So yeah, we have some thunder out here. Okay, I see a lot of B coming in. B, right? Okay. Perfect. So the correct answer is B, having. He must be having a great time. We're trying to state that, he's become the ruler, and ever since he's become the ruler, he must be having a great time. So B is the correct answer option. I'm very happy that you guys are all getting it correctly. Okay. Brings me to question number 6. He dash fine clothes, lots of money, and a number of servants. Something that we all could ask for. He dash fine clothes, lots of money, and a number of servants. Should it be, should be having, will have, can have, or must be having? Which one is the correct answer to this? For blank 6. He dash fine clothes, lots of money, and a number of servants. He should be having, he will have, he must be having, he can have. What is the correct answer? I see a few D's coming in. Awesome. All right. So most of you are getting it correctly. The correct answer is he must be having. So he's become the ruler, and my supposition is that now that he's become the ruler, he must be having fine clothes, he must be having lots of money, and a number of servants. I wish I dash his luck. I wish I dash his luck. I wish I had his luck. I wish I has his luck. I wish I have his luck, or I wish I must have his luck. Which one do you think would be the correct answer option out here? All right, I see must be having. I suppose that's for the previous one. For blank number 7, okay, I see A is coming in. B and D too by a few people. Had, okay. All right, lovely. The correct answer is option A. It's not must have. So this person is basically saying that I wish I had what he has, or I wish I could go out yesterday, right? So I wish I had his luck. There is no must have. There is no need to say I wish I must have his luck. That is incorrect. The correct answer option will be that I wish I had his luck. Okay. With that, I move to number 8. He dashed to visit his friend to enjoy his hospitality. He dashed to visit his friend to enjoy his hospitality. He decided to visit his friend to enjoy his hospitality. He deciding to visit his friend to enjoy his hospitality. He decided to visit his friend to enjoy his hospitality, or he will decide. Which one do you think would be the correct answer option to this? As a piece of suggestion, something that I always do is I look at the technique of eliminating. So if I think okay, correct answer A hona chahiye, I will look at quickly B, C and D and be like, okay, B, C and D cannot happen because, right? Remember that in terms of your closed test exams, or in terms of these exams that you guys are actually sitting for, this is pretty much like wo kaun banega crorepati ka hot seat, that you will see that there are like 2 options and both of them are so close that it's important to look at the other answer options and eliminate all of them carefully. So for 8, you can start putting your answers at what do you think could be the correct answer option. I see a lot of C coming in, and one says A, one says Perfect. I see a lot of C's. D's, C's, A's. Alright, just because it has to be one answer option, everyone is putting in something or the other. The correct answer is nothing but C, right? So he decided to visit his friend to enjoy his hospitality. That is your correct answer option. When he dash the palace, the king himself dash him with respect and affection. Okay, let alone the blank 10 right now because we do not have the answer options available. So let's only look at blank 9. When he dashed the palace, the king himself. So when he reached the palace, when he reached the palace, when he arrived the palace, when he reaching the palace. This is going to be pretty easy. I want you guys to quickly tell me what your answer is for blank 9. Okay, I see someone's written A. A lot of A's coming in. Superb. I'm so happy you guys are all so nice and brilliant already. When he reached the palace, the king himself dash and whatever. We will look at that. Okay. So let's look at blank 10 now. When he dashed the palace, the king himself dashed him with respect and affection. When he reached the palace, the king himself received, receiving, or will receive. Which one do you think will be the correct option for blank number 10? What did the king do? The king himself receive, or the king himself received, or the king himself is receiving, or the king himself will receive him with respect and affection? What do you think is the correct answer? All right. Perfect. I see most people giving in the correct answer option, which is B. All right. So B is your correct answer option. I would want you guys to quickly put in ki 10 mein se how many of you have got like 9 or 10? Just write yes. Anyone who's got 9 or 10, please write yes. Out of 10, how many of you got 9 or all 10 correct? Please put in a yes. 7. Okay, so Hale says 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, I see a couple of 9s. All right, 10. 10, okay. All right, so for the people who've got 9 or 10 in this, that is excellent, guys. That's like real good work. I'm very happy that you've got that. For anyone who's been between 7 to 8, someone who's got 7 to 8, that is very good, but I would want you guys to like push yourself to 9 or 10. For someone who's got 6 or below, thoda sa dil tod diya. Like, I do not want you guys to be on 6 or below 6 because these are very scoring questions. And anyway, but we'll try and work together. We'll try and get you to come to a 9 or a 10, whatever, right? So congratulations to the people who've got 9 or 10, and the others will work hard together, no problem. Okay, with that, I'm going to move to the other question, which is find which part of the sentence below has an error and mark the answer option accordingly. Okay, now they've given you one sentence and they've given you 4 options, and one of the options certainly has some sort of an error, some sort of a problem. Okay, so our idea is to understand which part of it that has an error. Is it A, B, C, or D? Now your sentence is Akash crouched towards directly in front of the cabinet, his face only inches away from the glass. Okay, that is your question, that Akash crouched towards directly in front of the cabinet, his face only inches away from the glass. Which one do you think has an error? And I'll be more than happy if you guys can actually tell me where the error is, or what the error is, or how it could be corrected. All right, I see a lot of answer options coming in. All right. So it's going to be the first part, which I think no one has got correctly. The problem lies with Akash crouched towards. It's not going to be towards, it's going to be Akash crouched down directly in front of the cabinet and his face only inches away from the glass. Okay, so the correct thing is Akash crouched down, and it's not Akash crouched towards. Okay, generally guys, with a word like crouched, you will always have crouched down, or you'll crouched towards is not the correct preposition to use when we use the word crouch. It's just following the rule of grammar that a certain thing happens a certain way, right? So for that purpose, the correct answer option would be that A has an error. It's going to be Akash crouched down instead of towards. Okay, now let's come to question number 12. A moment after the pregnant lady came out of the hospital ward holding a baby boy in her arms. Okay, same thing, we have to find which part of the sentence below has an error, and we need to mark the option correctly. A moment after the pregnant lady came out of the hospital ward holding a baby boy in her arms. Okay, that's for question number 12. So can I start having your answers, please, for question number 12? Okay, I receive an A. Very nice. Very nice. So can you tell me that in A, where is the problem? What would be the correct sentence? If A has a problem, could you guys also put that in? Okay, someone says after a moment. It's not going to be after a moment. All right. So the correct answer is A, but after has to be replaced with later. That a moment later, the pregnant lady came out of the hospital ward holding a baby boy in her arms. Okay, it's going to be a moment later. So after ko, we will replace it with later. All right, so that is the correct answer option. I hope you guys have got this correctly. With that, I'll just move to question number 13. So it says, read each sentence to find out whether there is any grammatical error in it. The error, if any, will be in one part of the sentence. The letter of that part is the answer. If there is no error, then the answer is D. Okay. So I could not put up in a hotel because the boarding and lodging charges were exorbitant. Okay. I could not put up in a hotel because the boarding and lodging charges were exorbitant. Exorbitant basically means it was very high. It was very, very expensive. So out here, where do you think the error lies and what would be the correct answer? You guys could put that in. Also, please let me know if you think my pace is fine, or if you think I'm going fast, you guys can let me know in the comment section. Okay, Jeevan says no error. A few people are saying A. Few are saying D. A, okay. Okay, the in has to be replaced with at. Fantastic. I think Jeevan has given that answer. At a hotel, Suraj also says that. Like I said, exorbitant means expensive, something that is very expensive. Good. So the correct answer is A, that I could not put up at a hotel. You do not put up in a hotel. You put up at a hotel. Now, something that I want to caution you guys out here is that, the problems with prepositions mostly happen because of one thing, and that is because we have a mother tongue influence. So for a lot of people whose first language, or generally the language in which they speak at home is Hindi. So sometimes what happens is कि we try and translate, like मैं hotel में रह रहा था. all right? If you say hotel में रह रहा था, it typically means in a hotel, which is why when you translate, the may becomes in. But in terms of English, that translation may not always be correct, which is why this is something that I would just want you guys to be a little careful of. This is a slight slip that you guys might have. Like the other example that I keep telling people of is आपकी घड़ी में कितने बजे है. Now we say घड़ी में, but you do not say what is the time in your watch. You say what is the time by your watch, right? So that is one thing that I want you guys to again be careful of, please. That do not look at translating from your mother tongue or any language that you're comfortable into English, because of course while sometimes maybe the translation will give you a correct answer, but that's not a sure shot mechanism to get the correct answer. So definitely out here it is not I could put up in, it will be I could put up at. Okay, with that, let's come to question number 14, right? She has not completed her course, isn't it? That is the question. She has not completed her course, isn't it? Now, where does the error lie out here? She has not. Does it lie in part B, which is complete her course? I'm sorry, that would be completed her course. And C, isn't it? Where does the error lie? Where does the error lie? She has not completed her course, isn't it? Okay, so a lot of people say C, isn't it, won't it? Okay, C. A lot of people are saying, right. Perfect. So the answer is, the error of course lies with part C, that she has not completed her course. Has she? Okay, so isn't it has to be replaced by has she. Had it been he has not completed his course, then it would have been has he. So the it and the isn't out here is incorrect. We need to replace that by has she. That is your correct answer. Okay. With that, I'll move to question number 15. Priya quickly explained that in her world of symbols, feelings does not mean anything. Okay. Something that I think all of us will relate with. Priya quickly explained that in her world of symbols, feelings does not mean anything. Where do you think is the error? Which part out here has the error? Priya quickly explained that in her world of symbols, feelings do not mean anything. Okay, I see B is coming in, D is coming in. So out here the error lies in part D, which is that Priya explained that in her world of symbols, feelings do not mean anything, because a plural subject out here requires a singular verb. So feelings is your plural subject, for which I need to use a singular verb. So this is out of your subject verb agreement, that the whether it's plural or singular, according to that we have to put in the verb. So feelings is a plural subject, therefore we have to use a different verb. So it's not going to be does not, it's going to be do not. Do not mean anything. So D is your correct answer option. All right, now we've come to sentence completion questions, right? And these are pretty easy, except for where you do not know the meanings of a certain question. So I would suggest you guys to actually Google it for yourself, so that you know where to fill it and where to not fill it. Challenges must be dash to realize the dash of a greater regional economic integration. Now remember one thing, I've seen what students do is कि first blank में जो बैठ गया, whichever is your perfect fit for the first blank, students tend to mark that particular answer option. But sometimes what you may see, that when something is fitting the first blank, it still may not fit your second blank. So it's always important to evaluate ki is it fitting both the blanks, right? Which is why look at each and every answer option. And like I said, what you need to do is when you look at sentence completion questions, once you look at the question, there should be certain words that should come to your mind. Once you've realized those words, you can look at the answer options and compare what is closest to what you have thought. Then you look at eliminating all the other answer options and selecting what your correct answer option is. That should be your correct way to be able to do sentence completion questions. So I see the answers coming in. The correct answer is A. Challenges must be overcome to realize the potential of a greater regional economic integration. That is your correct answer, and definitely challenges must be. That was already a hint that overcome would be the correct answer option for the first blank, but we had to check the second blank also, and potential also fits our second blank correctly. So therefore your answer option is A. All right. With that, I'll move to the next question. This is again very easy. A lot of us have heard this at home from friends, from teachers. So I'm sure this one you guys can all answer correctly. He's got a sharp dash. He might get into trouble if he isn't careful. Is it a sharp tongue? Is it a sharp mouth? Sharp intellect? Sharp vision? Sharp brain? Which one is the correct answer option? All right, I see a lot of A's coming in. Yeah, this I'm sure, like I said, everyone's going to get it correctly. We've all heard this from somewhere or the other in our lives. He's got a sharp tongue. All right, someone with a sharp tongue basically means who's very, what do we say, tikhi zuban. That's what a sharp tongue means. That he's got a sharp tongue. He might just get into trouble if he isn't careful. Okay. With that, I move to the next question. Vinod is clearly dash when it comes to speaking English. So is Vinod clearly to a disadvantage? Is he at a disadvantage? Is he from a disadvantage? Or is he in a disadvantage? Or is he on a disadvantage? Which one are you guys going to get correctly? Brownie points to people who are going to get this one correctly. You will definitely get a lot of appreciation from my end if you get this one correctly. All right, I see a lot of B's. At a disadvantage. Awesome, guys. Definitely all of you deserve a lot of love and hugs from my end for getting this one correctly. At a disadvantage is your correct answer. That Vinod is clearly at a disadvantage when it comes to speaking English. Okay. With that, we move to reading comprehension. Now, something that I noticed the last time everyone was discussing is that, ma'am, reading comprehension, we're taking so long. Now, understand, I am taking long because I'm reading the passage with you and I'm explaining the passage to you, and then I'm looking at, what answers we could definitely use. But when it comes to you people, you, of course, do not have to be as slow as I am because you're not having to explain to anybody, okay? A couple of things that I would actually tell you about reading comprehension is that the first thing that you need to develop is speed. Okay, speed is very, very important when it comes to reading comprehension questions. Reason being, your paragraphs will be, let's say, between 300 to maybe 500 words. Okay, and not like the paragraph will be very difficult. That's not going to be your challenge. Your challenge will be to be able to read in that time and to be also able to answer the questions in that same time. Okay, so a couple of tips that I would actually give you for speed reading is that avoid vocalization. A lot of people have this habit कि हम जोर से पढ़ेंगे. That's how we've been trained बचपन से कि जोर से पढ़ो याद हो जाएगा. But that is something that you need to avoid because in general उसके वजह से क्या होता है, you end up reading each and every word which is not required. We have to quickly skim through the passage, so I should be able to look at the passage, take a glance and understand, okay, 3 main important points kya hai, what is being spoken. So if you have the tendency ki you read it out aloud, that is one problem that you will face. Okay, the other thing that I would tell you guys is a lot of us have the habit of let's say viewing things on our mobile phone, but you view it like this in your portrait mode. Okay, you view it in the portrait mode. Reason being, it's convenient. So in the portrait mode, maximum you can see 3 or 4 words, right? And you don't see more than that. But it's important that now for the purpose of exams, you guys start reading like this because you have to move from left to right and then go left. So you have to increase your eye span, and that is not going to happen if you keep reading in the portrait mode. So you have to change it to the landscape mode, because if you see, every single time when it comes to any of these exams, the questions are always asked on the screen, right? So you have to move from left to right and come back to left. So these are a couple of tips that I would actually tell you guys should use when it comes to speed reading. That avoid vocalization, avoid this tendency of using a pen, pencil or any highlighter to sort of underline things, even if you do not actually use it, but you have the tendency to go through everything like that. Please wo mat kariye, because again, that also takes away a lot of time when you're doing reading comprehension questions, right? With that, I'll begin answering this question, right? So, dolphins are regarded as the friendliest creatures in the sea, and the stories of them helping drowning sailors have been common since Roman times. So, we're talking about dolphins as a mammal out here, that they've been one of the most friendliest creatures that we know. And there are a lot of stories that they've actually helped drowning sailors. And this is not since now, this is since the Roman times. The more we learn about dolphins, the more we realize that their society is more complex than people previously imagined. So maybe we imagined the dolphin society to be a certain way, but the author is trying to say that no, that's not the truth. It is more complex than we actually imagined as people, that dolphins have a more complex society than actually what we know. Okay. They look after other dolphins when they are ill. They care for pregnant mothers, and they protect for the weakest in the community as we do. So there is some sort of a similarity between the dolphin community and us. They're saying that the dolphins exactly look after the other dolphins when they are sick. They are caring for the pregnant mothers, and they also protect people who are weak. I mean, the mammals who are weak in their community. Some scientists have suggested that dolphins have a language, but it is much more probable that they communicate with each other without needing words. So it's saying that scientists have suggested that, of course, dolphins have some sort of a language, but there is a very, very high chance or a probability that they're actually communicating with each other without needing any words. Could any of these mammals be more intelligent than man? Now the author is actually posing a question that, could any of these mammals be actually more intelligent than man? Certainly the most common argument in favor of man's superiority over them, that we can kill them more easily than they can kill us, is least satisfactory. So they're saying that, okay, one of the reasons why a man will say he is smarter is because, of how easily he can kill a dolphin in comparison to how a dolphin can kill a man. But that in itself is a very vague or a very stupid argument. It's not satisfactory at all. Okay. On the contrary, the more we discover about these remarkable creatures, the less we appear superior when we destroy them. Okay. So it's saying that on the contrary, the more we discover, the more we get to know about these remarkable creatures, the less we appear superior when we destroy them. So there is no sense of ego or sense of fulfillment attached with when we are destroying these dolphins. That's what the paragraph is about. All right. With this, I'll move to the first question, and I'm sorry that I'll have to decrease the size of the font a little bit so that you guys can actually view the question. It says, it is clear from the passage that dolphins don't want to be with us as much as we want to be with them. They are proven to be less intelligent than once thought. They have a reputation for being friendly to humans, and they are the most powerful creatures that live in the ocean. So there is a direct correct answer to this one. I really want you guys to get it correctly. So please start putting in your correct answer options again. Okay, I see a lot of C's coming in. All right, I see a lot of C's coming in, and that is the correct answer. It is going to be C, that they have a reputation for being friendly to humans. All right, I'm just going to try and see if my screen can be zoomed, which I don't think it can be, but I'll just try anyway. All right, I don't think I am being able to zoom it correctly, guys. I apologize for that. So for the first one, I think all of you have got the answer correctly, that it is C. With that, I'll come to the next one. The fact that the writer of the passage thinks that we can kill dolphins more easily than they can kill us, okay, does it mean that they are better adapted to the environment than we are? Does it show that dolphins have a very sophisticated form of communication? Proves that dolphins are not the most intelligent species at sea? Or does not mean that we are superior to them? Which one do you think is the correct answer option for the second one? The fact that the writer of the passage thinks that we can kill dolphins more easily than they can kill us. Again, you guys can put in A, B, C, D. What do you think is the correct answer? All right, I see a lot of D's coming in. Perfect. So the correct answer for this one is definitely D, right? That the fact that the writer of the passage thinks that we can kill dolphins more easily than they can kill us does not mean that we are superior to them. And this was exactly taken from the last line of the passage. So there was no rocket science attached to this, okay? The last passage, one can infer from the reading that dolphins are quite abundant in some areas of the world. Abundant means it's available in plenty. Dolphins have skills that no other living creatures have, such as ability to think. It is not usual for dolphins to communicate with each other, and dolphins have some social traits that are similar to those of humans. Again, so you guys can again quickly put in which one do you think is the correct answer. Is it A, B, C, or D? Perfect. I see a couple of you mentioning D. All right, perfect. So the correct answer option is D out here for this one. That one can infer from reading that dolphins have some social traits that are similar to those of humans. All right. So with that, I've come to the end of discussion for today. Hello students, welcome to Online Study for You. My name is Tanvi Ajmera, and as you guys already know that I've been making a lot of verbal ability, verbal aptitude videos for your sake. So I hope these videos have been benefiting you, and thanks a lot for all the feedback and comments that you guys keep putting in. Well, for our today's discussion, yes, so again, we're around the clock where TCS is just knocking our door and we're all due the TCS exams. So what we've done back at Online Study for You is that we've created sort of mock test where we've picked up questions which are of the TCS standard primarily. So, in this video, we would be taking you through the different questions which are exactly of the same level and exactly in the pattern in which you are tested in TCS. Do keep your paper and pens ready. So my personal suggestion would be that every single time that you see a certain question, you can actually start answering yourself, and then you can compare it when I'm discussing the answer with you. This is going to help you self-assess yourself and understand where you're from. I mean, in the sense that where you are in terms of your examination currently. So let's begin our discussion. We have TCS mock test, which is definitely going to help us get closer to the TCS exams, right, by practicing the verbal ability mock questions. So our first question is a fill in the blank question where we have to fill in the blank with, of course, the most suitable choice. The integrity of character, honesty, dependability, and discipline dash with a genuine interest in your work will go a long way in the achievement of success in your professional life. Okay. Now, the first thing that we need to understand is a very important word which has been used, which is nothing but
with. So with is a very important word, which means that whatever has been spoken, that same thing is going to be continued, right? So if this is positive, something positive is going to continue here. If this was negative, then something negative would continue here, which means we have to basically use a word which is supporting this statement, right? Now, the integrity of character, honesty, and dependability and discipline dash with a genuine interest in your work. So all these factors with your genuine interest, all these factors together with your genuine interest. So let's look at the answer options that we have. Coupled, yes. So we say that honesty coupled with a good character can, help you be a good employee, or dedication coupled with intelligence can help you crack this exam. So coupled basically means together. When you take it and together, couple together, okay? Adjoin, you adjoin something which is firstly not joined in the first place, and they are two separate things and you're trying to join them together. Adjoin, okay? Fixed, of course, fixing something basically means to put it in a firm position. So if you look at this particular statement, the integrity of character, honesty, dependability, and discipline, fixed with a genuine interest does not make sense. Attached with a genuine interest, again, attached out here also does not make sense. If we were attaching one thing to another, it should add up to become something else altogether. But in this case, that is not what the context of our sentence is. Joined with a genuine interest. So joined and joint, they're all very close things, right? Both of them do not really fit our context. So of course, which one is the correct answer? It's A, which is integrity of character, honesty, dependability, and discipline coupled with a genuine interest in your work will go a long way in the achievement of success in your professional life. Means you should have these along with, coupled with genuine interest. Question number 2, again, one of the TCS favorites. You will have questions which are on error detection. Yes. So one part of the sentence below may contain an error. We need to identify that part. And in case there's no error, then of course we choose the no error option. Since sunrise to sunset, my grandmother would sit by her wheel, spinning and reciting prayers. Okay. Something that I want you to notice is in the answer options, it is not in the respective manner in which the sentence has been broken. So my grandmother is part A, no error is part C, which means we have to be very careful about what that answer option that we are selecting is. Okay. Now, this is one question which I think can help you solve a lot of other questions if you get the answer right. Okay. So most students get confused with this, which is, what is the difference between since and from? What is the difference between since and from, right? So generally, students, when we use since, of course, we definitely have a starting point. And from the starting point, we come to what the present is. So if I say that India has been fighting unemployability since a revolution, or since the economic crisis, since COVID-19 pandemic. So since that time means until present. Whereas when we are talking about from, you will have starting point to finishing point or ending point, right? That is the difference between since and from. So if I say that from 9:30 to 1:30, there will be no electricity, right? So 9:30 starting point, 1:30 ending point. Similarly, for this question, if you see sunrise to sunset, what is my starting point? Sunrise. What is my ending point? Sunset, right? I'm indicating that from this time to this time. So of course, the since has a problem. We cannot use since. We will have to use from. Okay. The reason I was discussing this with you is also the fact that this same question could come to you in the fill in the blank manner, where in the answer options you may have a since or from both. So I hope now you're very, very clear with that concept of where to use since and where to use from. Find the antonym of the highlighted word. Okay. Hapless farmers are committing suicide after government gave them paltry compensation for acquiring acres of land for a solar plant, right? So again, let's try and understand things detail by detail. We need not understand the entire statement. Let's see even if we do not know the meaning of the word hapless, how are we going to solve something? So firstly, when you have any word with the suffix less, right, it basically means the lack of that thing, right? Penniless. If I tell you the word penniless, it means without a penny. So basically for hapless also, it is going to be without something, right? Now, if you look at the other parts of the statement, you have something where they say committing suicide, okay? Committing suicide. Now, if someone is happy, someone is in an okay situation, if everything is all right, in that case, nobody is going to commit suicide, okay? Poultry basically means very small sums, very meager amount, hardly anything. That's what poultry compensation means. So basically, farmers are committing suicide. Why? Because they are being given only a very, very small amount in comparison to the acres of land that they have given up for a solar plant. Okay, that's what it means. So this way we have understood, even if we do not know the meaning of the word hapless, the context basically wants us to look, this context is a negative connotation that we are talking about. अब अगर कुछ negative है and we are trying to look at an antonym of that, then that will definitely be a positive word. Let's look at the answer options. Unlucky, someone who's not lucky, right? Digress, okay? You must have heard this, sometimes in group discussions or when you're talking to people, that you're digressing from the point. You're deviating from the point. Whatever is the main issue, except for that, you are taking a turn and you're talking something else. So that's what digress means, okay? Exploited, right? Exploited out here actually again would sort of be a synonym, not an antonym. So what could be the opposites? There's only one positive word that we can look at, which is fortunate. Fortunate is the only positive word that we can look at, which is the antonym. So hapless basically means someone who's unfortunate, someone who's unlucky. So unlucky, exploited, all of these would be synonyms to the word hapless, and fortunate or lucky would be the antonym to this particular question. Pick a suitable answer for the closed test question, right? So you have a paragraph which is having two blanks. We need to understand which blank to pick. The model also includes stipulations on the maximum working hours per day for a worker, other than those dash in high-tech areas such as information technology, biotechnology, and on providing workers with dash and other requirements. All this is welcome. However, it is not just employee whose safety and security the state has to worry about when it permits a 24/7 economy. The patrons of all night bars, malls, restaurants also need security. So when we read this entire passage, we understand that it has something to do with, of course, the economy working both day and night, and the fact that, people who are working in nights or who are going out in nights need some sort of safety and security. This is the theme that I get. Now let's evaluate the first option. The model also includes stipulations on the maximum working hours per day for a worker, other than those residing in. Residing means staying. Can you stay in high-tech areas such as IT and biotech? These are not the names of area. Like if we say staying in high-tech areas such as Kormangla, right? Such as, I don't know, Indiranagar, something like that. That's a very different thing. But here, information technology and biotechnology are not really names of areas, right? So residing does not make sense. Using in high-tech areas, right? Using high-tech information, high technology is another thing. Using in again does not make any sense. Condemning, public disapproval. That's when you condemn someone, right? That is not possible. Engaged in high-tech areas such as information technology and biotechnology makes sense. People who are engaged, working somewhere, there's some sort of relationship. Thinking in high-tech areas, again, that clearly does not make sense. So a correct answer is engaged. The model law also includes stipulations on the maximum working hours per day for a worker, other than those engaged in high-tech areas such as information technology and biotechnology, and on providing women workers with dash and other requirements. Okay, now like I said, remember that the context is related to safety and security. So if you want to make, let's assume that a woman is working in a 24/7 economy where possibly she has to go in the night, she has to work in the night, or she'll have to work at odd hours. In that case, do you need to provide her with food? Okay, very nice if you could, but do you need to? Livestock, okay, again, poultry animals, food, you do not need to provide her with all that. Clothing, why does a woman need clothing, right? Aid, okay, aid could be one of our answer options, but students, generally, when do you use aids? When there has been a tragedy, like you create an aid for people who have been affected by the earthquake, by the flood relief aiding, flood relief funding, right? That's when you provide aid. In this case, women will be more secure when they are provided transport. If they are provided transport to go back, then they can function in a 24/7 economy without being bothered about safety and security. So you see, in closed test, we have to first read the entire passage to get what the theme is. Only then we should look at answering what our answer options could be. All right, moving on, question number 6. So we have an idiom, to leave someone in the lurch. Okay, to leave someone in the lurch. This is a very, very easy question, but the problem being that either you know the answer or you don't know the answer. Lurch is a very difficult situation. When you leave someone in a lurch, it's a difficult situation that we are talking about. So does it mean to compromise with someone? No. Constant source of annoyance. Annoyance and difficulty are two different things, students. To put someone at ease, quite the opposite of putting someone at lurch. When you leave someone in lurch, leave, desert. See, you can try and look at answer options this way also. To leave someone in lurch basically means to desert someone in his or her difficulties. So let's say if there is an important situation, emergency situation, you've left that person in lurch and moved on. You've deserted that person in his difficulties. Fill in the blank again. So it's a double blanker and we have to fill this blank. Drawing attention to the pitfalls of dash solely. Pitfalls is basically a negative word, right? Pitfalls is disadvantages. Okay, drawing attention to disadvantages of dash solely on uranium as a fuel for nuclear reactors. Indian scientists warned that uranium will not last for long, and thus research on thorium as its dash must be revived, right? So drawing attention to the disadvantages of something solely is completely on uranium as a fuel for nuclear reactors. Why? Because these scientists feel that uranium will not last for long. Therefore, something should be done with thorium, okay? Now, pitfalls of using solely on uranium. Using uranium makes sense. Using solely on, grammatically incorrect, right? Believing solely on, you believe in someone or in something, right? Believing solely on, believing in, right? Depending solely on, yes, this does make sense. As of now, there's no problem with this. Reckoning is some sort of calculations that you are making, right? So reckoning solely on uranium also doesn't make sense. Relying, again, relying and depending are like synonyms, okay? Now let's look at the second blank. So drawing attention to the pitfalls of depending solely on uranium as a fuel for nuclear reactors, Indian scientists warn that uranium will not last for long, and thus research on thorium as its reserve. Okay, how can thorium become uranium's reserve? Is that technically possible? No. But you look at the other answer option as an alternative, as its alternative. That makes sense. Key, we are depending completely on uranium, but scientists are saying uranium will not last for long. So what do we need? We need a clear substitute, a clear alternative that we can depend on, which is why our correct answer is relying and alternative. Arrange the sentences in the correct order, right? So you have this entire para jumble question where you have A, B, C, D, E, 5 questions, 5 sentences, and we have to put it in the correct order. So it says to avoid this. This can definitely not be our first statement because ye this kya hai, right? So A is not going to be my first statement. A different layout which had been patented by August Dvorak in 1936 was shown to be much faster. Different layout of what again? Is it clear? So B also cannot be my starting statement. The QWERTY design, patented by Christopher Sholes in 1868 and sold to Remington in 1873, aimed to solve a mechanical problem of early typewriters. This does make an introductory sentence for us. So we have eliminated A. It can be, we've eliminated A and C. It can be B or D, right? Now next, let's look at what the options out here are, CE and CA. So the QWERTY design, patented by Christopher Sholes in 1868 and sold to Remington in 1873, aimed to solve a mechanical problem of early typewriters. Then it says when certain combinations of keys were struck quickly, the type bars often jammed. So they've elaborated on that. To avoid this, okay, makes sense. Jamming, that is what you want to avoid. The QWERTY layout put the keys most likely to be hit in rapid succession on opposite sides. This made the keyboard slow. The story goes, but that was the idea. All right. Then it says a different layout, which had been patented by August in 1936, was shown to be much faster. Last conclusion, yet the Dvorak layout has never been widely adopted, even though with electric typers and then PC, anti-jamming rationale for QWERTY has been defunct, not functional for years. So this definitely makes sense, but we will anyway cross-check. The QWERTY design aimed to solve a mechanical problem to avoid this. Now, what is this? We don't have an answer yet, which is why, of course, B is my correct answer option. Question number 9. We have to use the most suitable phrasal verb to fill in the blank. The final report on the project was dash into 3 parts. Now there is a final report. Dash into 3 parts means basically divided. Okay. So let's look at the answer options which could give us divided. Broken up. Yes, broken up into different parts. Fine. Broken off. Okay. It basically makes it not of use. Broken away doesn't make sense. Broken out also doesn't make sense. So the phrasal verb broken up basically means when you are dividing it into 3 different parts. Okay. Coming to the last question, choose the word which is misspelled, yani ki spelling error dhoondna hai. Artistic, absolutely fine. Simplify, what is the spelling of simplify, students? SIMPLIFY, but this question says EFY. So I don't have to even look at what the other questions are, right? Options are. However, for your sake, I've given you the meaning. Anachronistic basically belongs to a period other than that is being portrayed, right? And metamorphosis is a change of the form of or nature of a thing or person into completely something else. You know, so for example, when we say the metamorphosis of a caterpillar into a butterfly, it's that change from one form to another, right? But the misspelled word out here definitely is simplify, right? With that, we come to the end of this video. If you've liked watching my content, please do like this video and please do share it with other people who could benefit out of this video. And do stay tuned for all the other things that we are bringing up on the channel for your preparation. Best of luck, students.
So the first question is actually a sentence, missing sentence question, you could say, that there have been 4 sentences, sentence 1 to sentence 4, out of which 2 of them are missing in between, and we have to read the entire paragraph and get to the correct answer. All right. So let's start reading the paragraph, right? Gianni Crea, the head keykeeper of the Vatican, is intimately familiar with the contours of history. And there are then 2 sentences which are missing. They traverse a 4.6-mile route through the museums, which see up to 28,000 visitors every day. Your sentence P is almost every morning for the past 6 years, he's opened the doors to the Vatican Museum. Crea and his team of 10, 5 each on the morning and evening shifts, open and close 300 doors every day, mobilizing about 700 employees with them. Crea has worked in the Vatican for 20 years and as a head keykeeper for 6. Okay. Now, my clue for this particular question was that sentence 4 says they traverse a 4.6-mile route through museums which see up to 28,000 visitors every day. Now, this they has to refer to somebody. So if you observe the sentences P, Q, and R, only sentence Q is actually talking about people. So Q has to be sentence 3, right? Now, if you look at the answer options, you have RP, QR, PQ, and QP. So there is only one answer option where sentence 3 is Q, right? Which is Kriya and his team of whatever. So our only answer option is the third answer option, which is PQ. So Gianni Kriya, the head keykeeper of the Vatican, is intimately familiar with the contours of history. Almost every morning for the past 6 years, he's opened the doors to the Vatican Museum. Kriya and his team of 10, 5 each on the morning and evening shifts, open and close 300 doors every day, mobilizing about 700 employees along with them. They traverse a 4.6-mile route through the museums, which see up to 28,000 visitors every day. So that is your correct answer to question 1. Now, when we come to question 2, so it is a simple spot the error question where there may be an error, there may not be an error. So we have to find out once we read the entire sentence. Either Rahul or Rohit accompany their grandfather and grandmother whenever they go to the hospital. Okay. And we have 4 options, right? So it's not in the order. They have not exactly broken the sentence consecutively. What they've tried to do is whenever they go to the hospital, that is your option A. Their grandfather and grandmother is option B. No error, either Rahul or Rohit. Now, when we talk about either Rahul or Rohit, which means it's one person out of the two, and whenever you have either or, then we will not look at their as your verb. We have to look at his, right? Because it's only one of them. So along with one of them, according to your subject verb agreement, according to the rule of subject verb agreement, it can only be his. It cannot be there because one of them is going. Either Rahul or Rohit accompany his grandmother and grandfather whenever they go to the hospital. So the error lies in part B, which is their grandmother and grandfather. There has to be replaced with his. With this, we move to again question 3, which is of the similar format of question 1. So we are going to again straight head to the question. Gandhi does not reject machinery as such. What he objects is to what he objects to is the craze for machinery, not machinery as much. He says that today machinery merely helps a few to ride on the back of millions, and adds that spinning the wheel is a machinery, a little toothpick is a machine. He observes, how can I be against machinery when I know that even this body is the most delicate piece of machinery? So this passage is on Gandhi. And the first introductory sentence is that he does not reject machinery as such. Post that, we are supposed to fill in for sentence 2 and sentence 3. And sentence 4 is what he objects to is the craze for machinery, not machinery as such. And we have to understand which one we could fill in between. Now, if you look at the answer option RQ, that is going to be your best fit. So Gandhi does not reject machinery as such. He observes, how can I be against machinery when I know that even this body is the most delicate piece of machinery? And adds that the spinning wheel is a machinery, a little toothpick is a machine. What he objects to is the craze for machinery, not machinery as such. So he says that today machinery merely helps a few to ride on the backs of millions. That is not something that we would look at. It does not relate exactly to the passage. So our only correct option out here is RQ, which is option 2. With that, let's move to question 4. So this is a fill in the blank question where it's a double blank that we have to look at. Government have been promising the eradication of child labor in high risk industries in India for many years. So high risk is something that we need to look at out here. However, almost 100 million children are still not able to go to school, and around 10 million are working in dash industries. So dash industries means when we've already looked at high risk, we have to find out something which is exactly elaborating that fact. Now, if you look at honorary handicraft and handwear, that does not make sense. What makes sense is hazardous, right? So government has been promising the eradication of child labor in high risk industries in India for many years. However, almost 100 million children are not able to go to school, and around 10 million are working in hazardous industries, in industries that have high risk. India has the biggest population of 380 million in the world, dash number of children who are forced to earn a living. Largest, lowest, latest, loudest. Now latest and loudest anyway does not make sense. I could either be largest or could be lowest, but definitely when we are talking about the biggest child population, we are talking about the largest figures, right? So our correct answer would be B and A, hazardous for blank 1 and largest for blank 2. With that, I'd move to question number 5. Again, it's spot the error question. The state government has proposed to put on place the new portal to promote transparency and simplification. And again, if you see, it's in jumbled order. The error, the part which contains the error is in jumbled order. But of course, it is most obvious to us that the problem is lying with preposition. So the state government has proposed to put on. The put on is the problem. That will not be our correct preposition. We have to say put in. So the state government has proposed to put in place on the portal, on the new portal, to promote the transparency and simplification. That will be your correct answer, right? Put in will be the right preposition. With that, we move to question 6, which is again spot the error. Everyday life have become more complicated with the advancement in mobile technology, right? Everyday life have become more complicated with the advancement in mobile technology. Now, most of the times, like we've discussed a lot of spot the error questions, the error comes around prepositions, around tenses, and around subject verb agreement. Generally, we see questions like that. Even for this one, it is a classic example of subject verb agreement problem, where you see everyday life. Now everyday life is singular, so according to that we had to take a singular form of verb, which is has. Everyday life has become more complicated with the advancement in mobile technology. So we've taken have, which is a plural verb, and that is the error with this question. Let's move to question number 7. Now this is again, select the most appropriate option to fill in the blank. And we're looking at a phrasal verb out here, right? So broken with combination of some preposition is going to give us another meaning. So phrasal verb question is what we are looking at. The final report on the project was dash into 3 parts. Okay, broken out, broken off, broken up, and broken away. Into 3 parts is basically giving a hint that there was some sort of a division that happened. So what is that supposed to mean? Broken up. The final report on the project was broken up into 3 parts, not the other breakup. Breakup out here, broken up out here means basically dividing it into 3 parts. Question 8. The lady dash purse was lost, lodged a complaint at the police station. Now, what we're basically trying to say is this particular lady who has a purse, whose purse was actually lost, is lodging a complaint at the police station. Now we have the lady whom purse, does not make sense. Who purse, again does not make sense. Whose purse, right? So we are trying to describe that this particular lady whose purse was lost is lodging a complaint, right? So the correct answer out here is whose, and whose is the relative pronoun which takes the place of noun pertaining to relate with a person. And here we are talking about the lady who lost her purse. So whose is the correct answer to this question. Now this is a passage, right? So we will read the passage together and come to the correct answer. It used to be the American shopper that exemplified the state of the world economy. The focus now should be on the person on the other side of the till. America's retail industry is huge. Its employs 15.9 million workers who represent 1 in 9 American jobs. It is undergoing a wrenching change as e-commerce is into sales. There is no more pressing test of the society's ability to work with technology's impact on work. That impact is already visible. For all the benefits that online retailing brings to consumers, it is causing immense pain to offline rivals. Last year, 4,000 American stores closed. This year, more than twice the number, main Shutter Standard and Poor's, a rating agency, expects retail's defaults there to outnumber those in 2009. At the height of global recession, some formats, discount stores, groceries, high-end meals will continue to thrive, but many will shrink. The industry has shed 50,000 net jobs since January. Department stores may need to close more than 800 stores to reach the productivity levels of 2006. Many outlets are looking for ways to cut labor costs by embracing automation, right? So now we are basically talking about this one paragraph where we are talking about how things have changed after the online or the version of things pressing in, and what are going to be the effects of that, right? Now it says, which business will not continue to productivity levels of 2006? It was very, very clear. Last line, department stores is the correct answer, where it says department stores may need to close more than 800 stores to reach the productivity levels of 2006. So this was a very direct question, no problem. With that, we'll move to the next question. So it's on the same paragraph, and the question is, why does the writer consider it important to discuss the plight of those on the other side of the till? So according to the writer, why is it important to discuss the problems that the other people, people who are on the other side, they are facing? They need to be trained to deal with the pandemic related protocols. They have to take greater safety precautions at the world workplace. They know that they now have less work to do but are getting paid well, and they are a very large group of workers whose job are threatened. So why does the author consider it important? Because it's a very large group, it's a very large number of people whose jobs are now at stake, because if the stores are shutting, what is going to happen? People will lose their jobs. So D is your correct answer for this question. Thank you so much for viewing our video, and stay tuned for more updates that come for TCS NQT and other exams. Wish you the best. Thank you so much and see you soon. Something that I want you guys to also do is subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click on that bell icon. Reason being, whenever we are trying to upload something new, etc., you guys will get a notification of the same, and you guys will be updated much before anyone else, right? So please stay with us on the YouTube channel on these videos, and we're sure that you're going to do well for these exams, right? With that, let's begin our today's discussion. So if you notice, I'm giving you the question type also, so that you guys will know that from which areas is TCS actually giving you questions. The first one is fill in the blank, very simple. Only challenge being, there are two challenges with fill in the blank. Number one, if you do not know what is the meaning of what is being said in your question, if you do not know the meanings of the answers, then that is a problem. So let's start evaluating question one. His vision is so multifaceted and so rich in meanings that to try to dash it in a few sentences would be presumptuous. So they're saying that his vision is so multifaceted. He's somebody who, looks far ahead and so rich in meanings that to try and something in a few sentences. Now, when you know in a few sentences, you know that it is a large thing which we are trying to put in a few sentences would be presumptuous. Presumptions basically means an act of being arrogant. Okay, so it would be arrogant enough to try and put this superb human being's speech into a few lines or a few words. Now, coming to the words that they have given you, it is embellish, encapsulate, envisage, and integrate. I think more than 90% of you will know the meaning of the word integrate. All right, 80% will 75 to 80% will know envisage, and less than 50 will know the meanings of the word embellish and encapsulate. Now that is one major challenge. अगर मीनिंग नहीं पता तो कॉन्टेक्स्ट में कैसे डालेंगे, right? So the first thing that we need to do is get the meanings. Embellish is basically to make something very attractive, to make it look very nice. So she embellished her gown with sequins. Okay, she made it more attractive. Encapsulate is to express it in a precise or a concise manner, to express anything in a very short way. Envisage is to foresee or predict. So I say he was an envisaging chairman who changed the face of this company. And integrate definitely means combine. Now, when you're looking at this particular question, it says his vision is so multifaceted and rich in meanings. So that to try to put it in a few words, to put it in a concise manner, it would be presumptuous, it would be arrogant enough for us. Okay, so definitely your correct answer is B. The next one is comparatively easy. Since Priya has no time, she has to dash on her way. Okay, something that we need to look at is no time. Now, when it is no time means this person is definitely rushing somewhere, is in a hurry. So there is something that she has to do on the way because she has no time. Okay, now what could she do? Would it be grab a bite, take a bite, take bites, or grab bites? Which one would it be? Now, take a bite or take bites is anyway out of context. We do not say take a bite. We always say grab. But is it grab a bite or is it grab bites? Definitely, colloquially speaking, whenever we have a question such as this, It is always grab a bite. And this has nothing to do with somebody just nibbling a bite. Of course, they can eat the entire sandwich also, but we say colloquially that grab a bite. Okay. So definitely our correct answer is A. The clue words in the sentence are, of course, no time. They indicate that we need a phrase which means eating something in a hurry. And grab a bite is that phrase which is fitting our bill perfectly. Sentence correction questions. Now, these are my favorite questions and definitely favorite questions for test takers also. Reason being, they try to camouflage your answer options out here. So you will see your answer options are very, very close. Yeah, mistakes dikh hi nahi rahe. You'll be like, ma'am, I kept reading, but I didn't get the correct answer option. So it says if the company's productivity do not improve, layoffs and retrenchment can be expected soon. Now, if you look at the next one, if the company's productivity is not improving, so the first thing that I do is I will always compare what is different in answer up to question number 1, question number 2, in part 1, part 2. So the first one says do not improve, and the second one says is not improving. Layoffs and retrenchment can be expected soon. If the company's productivity does not improve, layoffs and retrenchment can be expected soon. Okay. And if the company's productivity should not improve. So basically, we have 4 choices: do not improve, is not improving, does not improve, should not improve. Second half of the sentence for each one is the same. Now, the first thing that you can't do is you can't use bold statements such as should not, must not. We will never do that for the context because it's a very bold statement. It's like an authority, like an order, which may not happen. Had it been cannot improve, okay, that's another thing. So 4 is anyway out of God. Now, if you look at part 2, right, it is defying our rule of parallelism. So if it is not improving, it should have been expecting ing, but that is again not happening, right? So your 2 is also out of question. Now, if we look at subject verb agreement, so the company is a singular noun and we need a singular verb. What is the singular verb? It is does not improve. So our correct answer is 3. But there is another googly for this question, which is part 3 is your correct answer, but that pertains to D. So if you see answer option D, D stands for 3 and nothing else. So my correct answer option is D. If the company's productivity does not improve, layoffs and retrenchment can be expected soon. Now, sentence correction, question number 4. The City Rehabilitation Center trains the mentally challenged to take care on their own. Firstly, let's understand the elements. There are 3 elements of the sentence. One is City Rehabilitation Center, another is mentally challenged, and third is taking care. Now, whenever firstly it is taking care of hota hai. So first one is anyway gone. The City Rehabilitation Center trains the mentally challenged to take care of their own selves. Okay, of their own selves. That becomes incorrect again. Okay, we will not look at 2 as an answer option. The City Rehabilitation Center trains the mentally challenged to take care of himself. Now, we do not know, is it himself, is it herself, is it oneself? We do not know, so we're not going to try and experiment that. We know that mentally challenged could be anybody, and it is definitely more than one person. So, if we look at answer option 4, the City Rehabilitation Center trains the mentally challenged to take care of themselves. That is your correct answer, and number 4 pertains to A. So A becomes our correct answer option for this question. The City Rehabilitation Center trains the mentally challenged to take care of themselves. Again, another sentence correction question. The doctor seriously advised the patient and told him that he should be sleeping enough, he should be drinking a lot of fluids, and do some exercises. Now, again, I have understood that this question is on parallelism, where there are 3 parts: sleep, drink fluid, do exercise. These 3 parts are there, right? So the doctor seriously advised the patients that he should be sleeping enough, he should be drinking a lot of fluids, and it should be doing some exercises. That is not there. So 1 is gone, right? We have eliminated 1. The doctor seriously advised the patient and told him that he should sleep enough, he should be drinking a lot of fluids and doing some exercises. Again, one of them is not in the ing form, so 2 is also gone. Let's look at 3. The doctor seriously advised the patient and told him that he should sleep enough, that he should take a lot of fluids, doing some exercises. Doing some exercise to grammatically incorrect ho gaya. He should be doing some exercises. So 3 is gone. Now let's look at 4. The doctor seriously advised the patient and told him that he should sleep enough, take a lot of fluids and do some exercises. That perfectly follows the structure of parallelism. So 4 is our correct answer option, and it pertains to D, right? Now, the sixth question is a critical reasoning question. Critical reasoning questions are those questions where you have been given some sort of a paragraph, you have been given some sort of a context, and you have to answer that question on the basis of your logical ability, your thinking. So, this is very different from reading comprehension. Halaki question comes in the reading comprehension format only. You have a paragraph and then you have one sort of a question, then you have options, but you'll see that you cannot directly get it from the passage because you need to apply what is given in the passage to the outside context. So let's look at this one. Most of the family owned businesses face a sobering reality. Sobering basically out here means they are facing a serious reality, a serious problem. Almost 90% of family run businesses do not survive as single entity beyond the third generation worldwide. So the author is giving a fact कि पूरे world में what has happened, 90% of these family run businesses are not surviving as single entities beyond the third generations. Ambition, greed, and inspiration of the new generation leads to family feuds, resulting in disintegration. So, what is the reason that they are not surviving beyond their third generation? Because ambition is there, because greed is there, because inspiration that this new generation has, it is leading to these family problems. Structure in the family is getting disturbed, and there is resultant disintegration. Family is breaking off. Which of the following weakens the argument? So, we need some sort of an argument which is weakening the fact that families are facing problems and disintegrating. The risk to business comes from within the family generally when it migrates to second or third generation. Now, we do not know, we cannot say. As in the case of Tata Sons, where Ratan Tata is the chairman of the holding company, while all other businesses are run by professional managers, it is possible to hold the family together. My major clue is it is possible to hold the family together, which is exactly opposite of disintegration. So I will soft mark B as my answer options already. But always go through C and D. That's how we will follow the rule of elimination for every question. Issues run smoothly in the family and the business prospers till the patriarch is alive and is running the business. If the ladies of the house are living together and the seed of discontentment is sown, the family environment gets spoiled. Now, C is completely out of context. Patriarch is alive and running the business. It's actually opposite of what is being said. And ladies' discontentment, again, it's out of context. So, definitely, I'm looking at B as my correct answer option. As in the case of Tata Sons, where Ratan Tata is the chairman, rest businesses are run by professional managers, and it is possible to hold the family together. The explanation to this could be that a weakening statement, what are we trying to do with it? We are trying to prove that the conclusion is false. So here the conclusion is family businesses do not survive and there is disintegration. We need a statement that is going to prove that to be wrong. Because of which, if we say that family run businesses can succeed indeed without disintegration. So the answer option that best does this is D. All the other answer options are actually talking about family failing. So in a way, they are supporting the given argument instead of weakening it. I hope you've understood this question. With that, a sentence correction question, and I can again see the question and understand that this is about parallelism. We need to ensure that the structure for all three parts is the same. So you could take a quick 10 seconds to, mark what your answer is. Helen Keller's nurse taught her to write, read, and use a typewriter. Helen Keller's nurse taught her to read, write, and typing. Gaya. Helen Keller's nurse taught her reading, writing, and to use a typewriter. Gaya. Helen Keller's nurse taught her to read, to write, and using a typewriter. ये भी गया. कौन सा बचा? Number one. Number one pertains to which answer option? A. Another critical reasoning question. Almost 80% of the people surveyed that money can't buy love. Very interesting for all of us. Talks about two of the most important things, money and love, right? So almost 80% of the people surveyed that money can't buy love. Many others say that money has been the major reason for most of our problems. So 80% of the category is saying money cannot buy love, and a lot of other people are saying that money is the reason why actually problems happen. Our anger, hostility, envy, being jealous of each other, hostile towards each other, non-compassionate towards each other, all of this is because of money.
Why then do most of us strive to make money if it won't make us happy? So this is a question that the author is asking, that if that is the case, if we have established that money can't buy love, it cannot make us happy, in fact it is causing problems, why do most of us strive to secure ourselves or to make more money? Therefore, government's focus on increasing the per capita national income may be regarded as a futile effort. So they're saying that the fact that government is focusing on increasing the per capita income is a waste, because money can't buy love and because it's causing problems. So now we have to look at which of the following will weaken this argument. Okay. The first one says, with the development of the system of many, the limit to acquisition disappeared. This is completely out of context. It's not related to the paragraph. Many religions instruct us that the attachment to material possessions make us unhappy. Now, nothing out here actually weakens that particular argument with material possessions making us unhappy. There is definitely more to happiness than just a good mood. Again, it does not weaken our argument at all. A larger section of the society accumulates money up to a certain amount to provide a safeguard against lean times, thereby relieving the government. Now, if you see, why then do most of us strive to make the money? It is because, not because money is making us happy, not because it is solving all our problems, but because we have to save up or safeguard this amount against the testing times, and therefore we do not want to put pressure on the government. So D weakens the exact argument. All right. With that, I hope you guys have understood question 8. 9 is another critical reasoning question, and it's a very, very interesting question. It's based on inference. So, inference is always something that you can infer from that particular paragraph. In a London hospital, the trial of a new drug almost killed 6 men. Remember, almost killed and not killed. Now, these 6 men who were earlier young and healthy just a few years ago now suffer from medical problems. So, London hospital has done a trial of a new drug. This drug has severely affected 6 men who were absolutely hale and hearty earlier, but now they are suffering from serious medical problems. Ironically, drug companies involved in the trial have refused to cover their medical expenses or provide any compensation. So this company has mentioned that they are not going to even pay them, they're not even going to compensate them, they're not going to cover their medical expenses. What is it that we can infer from this passage? The 6 men received a one-time payment of under $20,000 each. Is that even possible? That's actually opposite, because the company refused to pay anything. So A to hoga hi nahi, koi paisa nahi mila hai. Life-threatening drugs can cause fatigue. Now, we do not know if they can cause fatigue or they cannot cause fatigue. We know there are serious medical problems. Now, we do not know if they are talking about fatigue. The drug testing system seems better devised to bring drugs to the market than to ensure human safety. So it's saying that the drug safety system is basically designed to bring drugs to the market than to ensure human safety. But nothing about the drug safety system as such has been spoken about. We're actually talking about drug testing. Drug testing on human beings needs to be banned. That is your correct answer option. That what we need to do is we need to stop doing this drug testing on human beings, because we do not know what is going to be the effect of this. We do not know if it is going to affect somebody fatally. So D is your correct inference for this question. Sentence improvement. Okay. So again, you have a certain sentence and a certain part has been improved. We need to find out which is the best fit or which is the correct answer. He compiled with the requirement that all the students in education can write a thesis. I think it should be complied instead of compiled. I apologize for that. So he complied with the requirement that all graduate students in education can write a thesis. It says all graduate students in education should write a thesis, must write a thesis, all the graduate students in education. So first one was all graduate students in education should write a thesis. Next one was all the graduate students in education must write a thesis. All graduate students in education write a thesis, and all graduate students in education have to write a thesis. Definitely, our correct answer is going to be C out here, that he complied with the requirement that all graduate students in education write a thesis, right? Should, must, again, I said bold statement, so we do not have to, we do not go with that. So C is your correct answer option. If the cerebellum of a pigeon had destroyed, the bird would not be able to fly. If the cerebellum of a pigeon were destroyed, the bird would not be able to fly. If the cerebellum of a pigeon would be destroyed, the bird would not be able to fly. If the cerebellum of a pigeon was destroyed, the bird would not be able to fly. If the cerebellum of a pigeon had destroyed, the bird cannot be able to fly. Okay, cannot be able to is anyway wrong, out of question.
Which is the correct answer? Were. If the cerebellum of a pigeon were destroyed, the bird would not be able to fly. That is going to be your correct answer option. He has hoped that he could graduate this semester, but he couldn't finish his thesis on time. Okay. He has hoped that he can graduate this semester, but he didn't. He had hoped that he would graduate this semester, but he couldn't. He had hoped that he graduate this semester, but he couldn't. He had hoped that he will graduate this semester, but he couldn't. Which is the correct answer option? I'm sure most of you have gotten this correctly, that he had hoped that he would graduate this semester, but he couldn't finish his thesis on time. Option B is the only option that fits our context correctly. Had hoped that he would graduate this semester, but he couldn't. Okay. Now, next is a reading comprehension question, and I request you guys to be patient. This is a little lengthy in terms of what has been given. Every channel was showing the same pictures. One of the towers belonging to the World Trade Center in flames. Okay, so every channel was basically showing the same picture to all of us. One of the towers belonging to the World Trade Center in flames. The next plane approaching, a new fire, and the collapse of both buildings. The disaster of 11 September 2001. Everyone knows 9/11. No one will ever forget where they were, what they were doing, and who they were with when the terrorist attack occurred. So it's basically talking about the 9/11 tragedy. It is always very hard to accept that a tragedy can in some way have positive results. As we gazed in horror at what looked more like a scene from a science fiction movie, the two towers crumbling and carrying thousands of people with them as they fell, we had two immediate responses. So they're saying something positive may happen out of a tragedy, and that is very difficult for us to believe. Now, what are the things that happen? First, a sense of impotence and terror in the face of what was happening. Second, a sense of what would never be the same again. These are two immediate responses, or two things that people thought of, that what is happening, there is horror, there is terror, and that the world will never be the same, things will never be the same. It was with these feelings in my heart that I switched off the TV and headed for the bookstore where the book signing was in theory to take place. So somewhere a book signing was supposed to happen. This author is going to that place. I was convinced that no one would be there, since the next few hours were bound to be taken up with more news and more details with the search for the reasons why it happened. I walked the deserted streets of Munich. So this person is saying that I'm sure nobody else would be there at the bookstore, because everyone is going to wonder about what happened and look for reasons as to why it happened. I walked the deserted streets, so not so frequented streets of Munich. Even though it was only still 4 o'clock in the afternoon, people had congregated in any bars that had radios and televisions turned on. So even though it was 4 o'clock, people had just made groups and they were going to bars that had radios, televisions, trying to persuade themselves that it was all some kind of dream from which sooner or later they would wake up, saying to their friends that the human race does not tend to suffer from this kind of recurring nightmare. So they were trying to persuade themselves that this was actually a dream, and sooner or later they would be telling their friends that, okay, um, sometimes everyone does suffer from this weird nightmare, so it's all just a nightmare. To my surprise, when I got to the bookshop, hundreds of readers were waiting for me. They weren't talking to each other, they were silent. Okay, so there were a lot of book readers who were waiting, they were all silent. It was a silence that came from the depths of their soul, a silence empty of meaning. So this is where the author starts to get philosophical, that people were not quiet just like that. They were quiet because the silence came from their soul and they felt empty. Gradually, I understood why they were there. At such times, it is good to be with other people because no one knows what might happen next. So, everyone's trying to protect themselves being around people because they just do not know what to expect the next moment. Gradually, we all came to realize that it wasn't a nightmare, but something real and palpable, which from then on would become a part of the history of our civilization. Gradually, we all came to realize that it wasn't a nightmare. Okay, I've just repeated the last line two times, that everyone realized that this is just something which is going to be a part of our entire civilization. This will become history. This is something which is absolutely real and is going to stay with us. That is what I would like to write about at the end of this year of upheavals. The world will never be the same, it's true, but a year on from that afternoon, is there still a sense that all those people died in vain? Okay, so author further continues that of course everyone died, but was that all in vain, or can something other than death, dust, and twisted steel be found beneath the rubble of the World Trade Center? So they're saying that, is there something else that we can find I believe that the life of every human being at some point is touched by tragedy. It could be destruction of city, death of a child, baseless accusation, illness that appears without warning and brings permanent disability. Life is at constant risk, and anyone who forgets this will be unprepared to face challenges that fate might have in store with us, store for us. Whenever we come from face to face with the inevitable suffering, we are forced to try and make some sense of what is happening. However good we are, however well we try to live our lives, tragedies happen. We can blame others, we can find some justification or imagine how different our lives would have been without them, but none of that matters. The tragedy has happened, and that's that. So the author is saying you can have a million things to think. You can think, why me? Should not have happened, would not have happened, but the truth stands at the fact that a tragedy has happened. And tragedy could be anything. It could be your close one dying, it could be you being accused something of something, you being sent to jail, whatever. Anything could be a tragedy. From then on, what we have to do is look at our lives again, overcome our fear, and begin a process of reconstruction. So this is what the author leaves you with, that of course a tragedy will happen, but what you need to do is overcome your fear and begin a process of reconstruction. Which of the following statements is the author most likely to agree with? That the streets of Munich were desolate as early as 4 o'clock. Anyone who forgets that life is at constant risk will be unprepared to meet the challenges that fate possess. A human being encounters a tragedy at some point or the other in his life. It is unrealistic to expect people to begin the process of reconstruction and get on with their lives in the face of adversity. So, most unlikely to agree with, right? Which one is it? That it is unrealistic to expect people to begin the process of reconstruction and get on with their lives in the face of adversities. It's not going to happen. It is completely realistic, in fact, to expect people to do that. Which of the following may be a reasonable inference from the passage? Such terrorist activities are inevitable. Even in the face of worst tragedies, we should never despair but show resilience. The disaster of September 11, 2001 created a sensation. The author is Swiss in nationality. Of course, the correct answer out here is that even in the face of worst tragedies, we should never despair, but we get on with resilience in life. That is our inference. It can be inferred about the attitude of the author that he is indignant, skeptical, optimistic, pessimistic. Of course, the correct answer is he is somebody who is positive, right? Indignant is someone who's showing anger, skeptical is someone who's doubtful, optimistic is someone who's positive, and pessimistic is someone who's negative. But the last line tells us that the author has hope, so optimistic is your correct answer, right? Hello, everyone. The time is almost there. We're very, very close to the TCS NQT exam, the National Qualifier Test, and I'm sure all of you are working really, really hard on preparing for this module. And of course, I will be there helping you with the verbal aptitude portion for this section. So what I've tried to do via this video is I have picked up questions from the different areas where you are tested on for the NQT exam, and I've put it in the form of one mock test that you guys could actually take right now while solving this entire thing, right? So the idea is that you should solve with me and check the answers with me. And of course, this is according to the pattern of what we are expecting for the current year for the TCS NQT exam, right? So without further delay, let's begin answering the questions, right? So the first question, if you notice, it is a close test passage, right? So you have almost 5 blanks, and out of the 5 blanks, you're supposed to answer the questions for every single blank correctly. The first one says, over the years, there has been dash strong focus on artificial intelligence and machine learning. Okay. Now the options that we have, it shows that we need to insert an article or not. So in the first place, what we need to understand is whether or not to insert an article. If we need to insert an article, is it going to be a, an, or the? Which one? So over the year, there has been strong focus on artificial intelligence. Definitely there needs to be positioning of an article. Now, the is a very definite article. So we will not be using a definite article out here. We need something that is not definite. However, an always comes with a vowel. So the only thing that we are left with is a. Over the years, there has been a strong focus on artificial intelligence and machine learning. We are in the digital era, where speed and intelligence are important parameters that dash our performance. Okay, is it determines, that determines our performance, that determined our performance, that have determined our performance or that determine our performance. Now, firstly, we need to ensure that there is subject verb agreement. So when you're looking at speed and intelligent, which are two things, we need a singular form of verb. So determines is anyway out of question. Both determined and have determined are in different form of tenses. So we will not go ahead with option B and C. We will select option D, that we are in the digital era where speed and intelligence are important parameters that determine our performance. We, the humans, are dash the most intelligent of all on this planet. Now, this sort of a statement, it's more like a claim. Somebody is making a claim that we, the humans, are the most intelligent of all on this planet. So, what is the word that we could, include out here? If it is doubtfully, right, in the first place, then it's not a claim that we are making because this person is claiming it strongly. So there is no reason of doubt. So in the first place, doubtfully is gone. Doubtedly also gets eliminated. Now, is it undoubtedly or undoubtedly? Which one? The correct answer to this will be undoubtedly. There is nothing called undoubtedly. It is undoubtedly. So we, the humans, are undoubtedly the most intelligent of all on this planet. However, sometimes we fail to use our intelligence. Consequently, we might end up taking poor decisions. AI not only uses intelligence to take wise decisions, but also delivers result in lightning speed. Now, most of you might have a question that, ma'am, when blank 4 is in another question, why are you reading what is there in between? I'm reading what is there in between because it might help us get context. So sometimes when you do not know what to fill in blank for, what you could do is you could refer to the context, because of which you have to read in between the lines. That's why I did not skip that portion. Realizing the importance of AI, more educational institutions are planning dash electives to their students. Now, planning offering together does not make sense, right? On the offer of realizing the importance of AI, more educational institutions are planning on the offer of. This again does not make sense. Realizing the importance of AI, more educational institutions are planning on offer. On offering would have been correct. Are planning on offering electives to their students, but this is on offer. So what are we left with? It's the last option, which is realizing the importance of AI. More educational institutions are planning to offer electives to their students. Today, more industries than ever are focused on dash AI to increase their throughput and efficiency. Now, when you see dash AI, it's focused on dash AI to increase. It definitely means to use something to its advantage. If you look at the answer option, the only answer option which would suit that context is nothing but leveraging. So that is your correct answer, that today more industries than ever are focused on leveraging AI to increase their throughput and efficiency. So with that, we have solved one entire paragraph which has been on close test. Okay. With that, let's move to question number 6. So this is a sentence completion question where you have one question and you have 4 options. You're supposed to select which option would fit the best according to the given context. So let's take 10 seconds. You guys could read and solve it with me. The scholars spent the day dash to find solutions. What would be the correct answer to this? Is it 1? Is it 2? Is it 3? Is it 4? Arguing with one another rather than working together. Arguing with one another rather than work together. Argue with one another rather than work together. Arguing with one another rather than worked together. Now, the scholars spent the day argue with one another. That definitely does not make sense. So we know option 3 is gone. Now we have to select between 3 of the arguing. Wherever you see every statement, arguing is the first thing that begins. So arguing will stay. But what is going to be the later half of the sentence? Now we have done something called parallelism, that the sentence structure needs to remain the same. According to the rule of parallelism, if it is arguing with one another, it also has to be rather than working with one another. It cannot be work or worked. So the correct answer is the scholars spent the day arguing with one another rather than working together. Something that I want you guys to notice out here is the first thing that I did was I tried to eliminate the option that was not necessary. Then I compared the other three options and I selected on what is the correct option. So this is one of the approach that you guys could also take when it comes to exam. Whatever you think is redundant, unnecessary, सवाल ही नहीं होता है ये answer होने का, please try and eliminate that. And then you can select whatever is the best answer from the remaining ones, right? Let's go to question 6. Dash, which is a simple non-self intersecting quadrilateral, has the same length. Now, what I want you to focus on out here is it says which is a simple. When it says a simple, it definitely means it is something singular. It's not going to be something plural. So if you look at the answer options out here, you have rhombus and rhombi. 2 and 3 both are rhombi, that is gone because we need something singular. So either it is each side of a rhombus, which is a simple non-self intersecting quadrilateral, has the same length. Every side of a rhombus, which is a simple non-self intersecting quadrilateral, has the same length. Now, when we are talking about the sides and we are talking about the fact that it has the same length, we are going to talk about each side and not every side. So for 7, your correct answer is 1. With that, students, I will let you guys know that we have tried to develop something where you can test your knowledge, the link of which is in the description. So you can test or you can assess where you guys are exactly standing for the 2021 exam. So how can you do that? You can take a quiz by logging on to Online Study for You. There are 2 forms of the quiz. Of course, there is a free version where you can assess yourself, and if you think this is giving you an exact true picture, of course go for the paid version, which is only for 49 rupees. So please do go for Online Study for You and see if you can actually take this quiz, because it will give you a correct assessment of where you are. Also, we've developed a crash course which is just at 249 rupees, where you have questions from aptitude, reasoning, verbal, programming, MCQs, everything. So there are almost 78 plus videos that have been worked on by 3 mentors together, right? Also, correction, I'm not Mrs. Tanvi, I'm Miss Tanvi, just by the way. So it's available for you again on Online Study for You. Please do go visit and buy whatever you can. This crash course will definitely help you prepare for this exam well, which is each side of a rhombus, which is a simple non-self intersecting quadrilateral, has the same length. That is your correct answer. Let's come to question number 8. This is one that I want you guys to really solve it yourself. Okay, it deals with demonstrative adjectives. That's a quick hint for you guys, and you guys could look at the questions, try and solve it yourself, and of course I will discuss it with you. Dash should carry water with them. Now, what could this dash be? The tourists were wishing to visit the beautiful caves. So sometimes when I do not know the correct answer, I try to put in everything in the blank. This is of course a slow process, but it's a short process to getting the correct answer. So the tourists were wishing to visit the beautiful caves should carry water with them. This doesn't make sense because it's not talking about which tourists. The tourists are wishing to visit the beautiful caves should carry water with them. Again, it's talking about a few tourists who are going to visit the beautiful caves, but we are not getting the context correctly. The tourists wishing to visit the beautiful caves should carry water with them. This does make sense. It's saying that the tourists who are specifically wanting to visit the beautiful caves, only those tourists should carry water with them. So this is a demonstrative adjective where it's trying to specifically point out the book that is kept on the table is red in color, right? So it's talking about that particular book which has been kept on the table. Similarly, the tourists wishing to visit the beautiful caves should carry water with them. However, we will not, not look at answer 4. First, we will also look at option 4, and then we will decide on if 3 is the correct one. The tourist wishes to visit the beautiful caves should carry. That's absolutely incorrect. So definitely our correct answer is 3. The tourists wishing to visit the beautiful caves should carry water with them. The aspirant is. Now, if you see confident, achieve success, all the 3 are same. What is different is the preposition that they have used, and only in one of them it is not achieve, it's achieving, right? So if we get the preposition right, we get this answer right. So is an aspirant confident in achieve success, confident to achieve success, confident of achieving success, or confident of achieve success? So an aspirant is confident of achieving success. So firstly, it has to be confident of, and it's not achieve, it's achieving. You're always achieving, attaining. Those are the words that we will be using. So the aspirant is confident of achieving success. That is your correct answer. Question number 10. You may respond by calling, visiting, or by sending an email. Calling, visiting, or emailing. Calling, by visiting, or emailing. Calling, visiting, or by emailing. Now, there is a principle which says that when we are making a logical comparison, all the comparisons need to be the same. So you may respond by calling, visiting, or by emailing. So where is the by in case of visiting? If it is by calling, it should be by visiting or by sending an email. But the by in case of visiting is missing for answer option 1. If you look at 2, you may respond by calling, visiting, or emailing. This is in proper perfect parallel structure. But we'll also look at other 2 options. You may respond by calling, by visiting, or emailing. It should have been or by emailing, then it would have been the correct answer. And last but not the least, you may respond by calling, visiting, or by emailing. Again, there is no by visiting. So definitely the only one which is parallel and correct is answer option 2. You may respond by calling, visiting, or emailing. Or it could have been you may respond by calling, by visiting, or by sending an email, whichever one, right? Question number 11, direct, indirect speech. This has been very, very popular for not just aptitude exams, but also other exams that you sit for. Even for management exams, direct, indirect speech is a very, very popular question, right? And it has very, very simple rules when it comes to solving this. Of course, I'm going to solve a couple of them with you today, but I hope you get these right because these are very, very scoring questions. From the given alternatives, choose the one which best expresses the given sentence in indirect or direct speech. So either it's given in the direct speech and you have to convert it to indirect, or it is given in the indirect speech and you have to convert it to direct. Nirav makes tea. Tea is made by Nirav. Tea has made by Nirav. Tea was made by Nirav. Tea is made by the Nirav. Okay. So firstly, Nirav makes tea. We need to keep it in the same tense, which is it is made by. Makes tea is made by. It will not be has, it will not be was. Okay. Now, is it by Nirav or by the Nirav? With a proper noun, we do not use a definite article. So it's definitely not by the Nirav. The correct answer is Nirav makes tea. Tea is made by Nirav. That is your correct answer. My mother loves me, right? Very emotional sort of a question. My mother loves me. I loved my mother. अब ये तो कोई और ही context है. We were talking about my mother loves me, but when I say I loved my mother, this is a completely different context. It's talking about my love for mom, not my mom's love for me. I were loved by my mother. Now my mother loves me. मतलब mother अभी भी love कर रही है. So loved is the past tense, right? It's more like what you would use for your opposite gender person. I was loved by my mother. Again, this has also become past tense, that now she does not love me anymore. So then it would have been my mother loved me. Then the correct answer would be I was loved by my mother. But when the correct answer is my mother loves me, then I am loved by my mother, which means this action is still happening. I am still loved by my mother. That is your correct answer. Now, when you move to question 13, nobody can catch her, right? So we are talking about 2 elements, nobody and her, and the action is catch. So if we have to express it in the other speech, she cannot be caught, okay? She cannot caught. She could not caught. She could not be caught. Which one is the correct answer? Nobody can catch her. She cannot be caught. She cannot caught, that is definitely incorrect. She could not caught, again that is also incorrect. She could not be caught. So you guys may be confused between A and D. The correct answer is A, that nobody can catch her. So can ko to put karne ka zarurat hi nahi hai. She cannot be caught. That is your correct answer. Please give me a pencil. Okay. Now, if you see, they have used different words like ordered, ought to, requested, etc. Now, remember, when there is the word please, it's definitely a request. Because I know it's a request, I will not even look at what is given in A and B because I'm going to save my time. I will only evaluate C and D. You are requested to give me pencil. You are requested to give me a pencil. So sawal may be anyway it is give me a pencil, and anyway grammatically correct also is give me a pencil. So automatically my correct answer is you are requested to give me a pencil. With that, we've solved a couple of questions on direct indirect speech also. Mr. Parkinson knows me. Okay, so again, two elements, Mr. Parkinson, me, and knows is your verb. I am known for Mr. Parkinson, matlab I am known for this person. That's incorrect. I am known with Mr. Parkinson again. Why am I known with him? That doesn't make sense. I am known at Mr. Parkinson. So that is more like a place. I am known at Goa for the craziest parties or something like that. I am known to Mr. Parkinson. So Mr. Parkinson knows me. I am known to Mr. Parkinson. That is the correct answer. So your answer option D is the perfect answer option for question number 15. Choose the word which is the exact opposite of. Now, something that I want you guys to be careful, students, is a lot of times because we're in the hurry, we do not read whether it is exactly similar or exactly opposite. Because of which you do not know if you're looking for a synonym, are you looking for a antonym? And you see the answer option. So with comic, which means someone who is funny, someone who's trying to bring laughter, right? You see funny is also there. So if you do not know that you're actually looking for an opposite word, you might end up taking funny because it's so similar. You'll be like, exactly, this is the correct answer. But this question says we have to find the exact opposite of comic. So the opposite of comic will be nothing but tragic. That is your correct answer. It's not happy, it's not fearful, it's not funny. Choose the word which is again the exact opposite of. So this is also not a synonym question, it's an antonym question. Now, hapless. This is a place where you either know the answer or you don't know the answer. So hapless basically means someone who is unfortunate or an incident which is unfortunate. A hapless incident, a hapless hazard, something like that. So consistent and cheerful and happy do not make sense. Fortunate is your correct answer. But here, if you do not know what is the meaning of hapless, you cannot answer the question because consistent, cheerful, happy, none of these will ring any bell for you. So hapless means unfortunate. That's one word added to your vocabulary in case you did not know the meaning. And the exact opposite of that is fortunate. Okay. Now we've come to the last portion of this video, which are, I think, 3 questions on reading comprehension that we're going to solve together. The passage remains the same, right? So we're going to first evaluate the passage and then we will start solving the questions. At this stage of civilizations, when many nations are brought into close and vital contact for the good and evil, it is essential as never before that their gross ignorance of one another should be diminished, that they should begin to understand a little of one another's historical experience and resulting mentality. Now, if you realize this is a very long sentence at once, so what we try and do is we break it, okay? At this stage of civilization, when many nations are brought in close and vital contact for good and evil, which means a lot of nations are in touch with each other, both for the good and evil, what is essential? That their gross ignorance of one another should be diminished. Like these countries should not be ignorant of one another. They should begin to understand a little of another's historical experience and resulting mentality. So they should start taking interest in understanding the country's history and whatever is the resulting mentality because of that history. That Indians are this way, maybe because of this. Americans are this way, maybe because of this. It is the fault of the English to expect people of other countries to react as they do. So they're saying that the English people are at fault. And why are they at fault? Because they expect that all countries should react as they do to political and international situations, which is not obvious. If every country has had a different past because of which they have a different present, so of course the way they are reacting to situations will also be different. It's pretty much like us as individuals. Our genuine goodwill and good intentions are often brought to nothing because we expect other people to be like us. So now the author is, reflecting this on ourselves. It says that people who have genuine goodwill, they have good intentions, they're often reduced to nothing, often reduced to, things of no importance. Why? Because we're expecting other people to be like us, but that's not the truth. The world is not fair. So if you're a good person, doesn't mean the other person also has to be a good person. This would be corrected if we knew the history, not necessarily in details, but in broad outlines of the social and political conditions which have given to each nation its present character. So it's saying that all of this could fall in place or could be corrected if we had known history, and that does not need to be in proper details. It could just be the outline or just be an obscure thin lining, whatever, and of what? Of social and political conditions which sort of define the today's character of that particular nation. So in general, the theme of the passage is that countries now should not be ignorant of each other's past or history. Why? Because a lot of how we react to situations now is because of where we've been. That is your main theme of the passage. Now, a character of a nation is a result of its gross ignorance, cultural heritage, mentality, or socio-political conditions. Now, if you see the last line, this would be corrected if we knew the history, not necessarily in broad outlines of the social and political conditions which have given to each nation its present character. So, character is coming from socio political conditions. So, for number one, your correct answer is for sure D. According to the author, his countrymen should have vital contacts with other nation. So if you see vital word is same, but understand if the context is same. At this stage of civilization, when many nations are brought into close and vital contact for good and evil, it is essential as never before that their gross ignorance of one another should be diminished. Okay. Have a better understanding of other nations, not react to other nations, and read the story of other nations. So from the first line only you will get the answer that they should stop being ignorant of each other's past or histories or whatever. Basically they should have a better understanding of other nations. See, it should begin to understand a little of one's other historical experience and resulting mentality. So from the first line itself you get the answer to this passage, that for two it will be according to the author, his countrymen should, it's not about having vital contacts, it's not about not reacting, but it is about having a better understanding of the other nations, right? Last question. The need for greater understanding between nations will always be there, is no longer there, is more today than ever before, and was always there. Which one is the correct answer? When many nations are brought in close and vital contact for the good and evil, it is essential as never before, which means it is more today than ever before. That is your correct answer for question number 3. With that, we've come to the end of today's video where I've done your mock test 1, and subsequently we'll be doing a lot of more mock tests where I'll be taking up different questions and we'll again do different answers together. So please stay uptight, and I'm really hoping that you guys do well in the verbal aptitude section and the overall NQT exam. Thank you so much and good luck.
Hi everyone, welcome to Online Study for You, one-step solution for all your placement needs. So guys, as you all know that TCS exam is approaching, and we, our YouTube channel, is continuously putting lots of effort to upload lots of videos so that you can ace your TCS exam. So make sure to subscribe this channel. If you haven't subscribed till now, this channel will help you a lot during your preparation. Also keep on practicing guys. So if you don't want to miss any update from the channel, turn on the bell icon when subscribing the channel. So without any delay, let's start with the agenda of this particular video. So in this video we are going to solve the verbal ability questions, right? See, you know that in TCS it's not all about one particular section. You have to take care of each and every section because there's a sectional cutoff, right? So even one section can put you down. So I would say, I would recommend that, okay, give a proper amount of time to each and every section that you have to face during TCS. Okay, so let's start with the first question. Okay, so the question says that for the four sentences S1 to S4, paragraph given below, sentences S1 and S4 are given. From the given options P, Q, and R, choose appropriate sentences for S2 and S3. Fine, so this is what given to you. So basically, you have to put suitable sentences here. Right, S4 is given to you. I forgot to mention this is S4 given to you. Fine, you have to put the suitable lines, which is basically going to match the paragraph that is given to you. Okay, so let's read about this. The 1940 version of the movie Pinocchio is no exception. Right, surprisingly, his character in the movie is not as prominent as it is in the book. Well, how to approach these questions? The first question comes in your mind. See, you read this line, then the last one, that S4 which is given to you. Now here they are talking about some character. Now which character? You must be wondering about that, right? So if you will go through the options, so here they have talked about a character which is Jimmy Cricket appears as the talking cricket in the book. Fine. So now it's really easy to find out that at S3 line, there should be this P. Because after this P, if you will place here this Jimmy Cricket appears as the talking cricket in the book, you can get the idea that okay, they are talking about Jimmy Cricket. Well, let's come to S2 part, that what should you have to put here. So first of all, sometimes you can go with the elimination as well. So now you're 100% sure that in this part in S3 you must be having P. Well, here you have Q, here you have Q, here you have R. It means it's not even needed to find out S2. Just by elimination itself you can get the idea that okay, option C will be the correct answer. Although let's place Q as well, that the 1940 version of the movie Pinocchio is no exception. The movie is based. You can see here they are talking about the movie itself. So there is a relation. Whatever statements you are choosing, make sure that there is a relation. Because obviously it's not like you are talking about something and then randomly you jump to some another topic. So statements should be relatable. That's what I'm trying to say. So the movie is based on a story that appeared as a serial in a newspaper called The Adventures of Pinocchio, written by Carlo Callot. Then this Jimmy will come and then the S4 is given to you. Right, so this is how you can solve this question. Try to relate. They are really easy. If you are aware of these sort of things which I just mentioned, then easily you'll be able to solve them. Let's move to the next question now. That which of the following sentences does not use informal language? Informal in the sense that you can use with your friends or sometimes with family members as well, right? Not just with your boss, office members, and so. So, did you locate our office quite easily? Well, let's move further for this. You will be working with different managers during your training. Well, these sort of statements can be informal, right? You can usually talk like this. We shall endeavor to inform you of the position in 2 weeks' time. Well, this statement is what this is. This is formal. It's not informal because you can see the language they have used here, like is endeavor to inform you of the position in 2 weeks' time. So directly you can conclude that option 3 will be the correct answer. Right? Even option 4 you can directly eliminate that. Is there anything else you want to ask? So yeah, that's not sound that formal way. Let's move to the next question now. Information dash defined as a collection of symbols which dash combined communicates a message or intelligence. Well, if you will go to the can be part, information can be defined as a collection of symbols which were combined. So it's not it's like just by elimination also. Now this is not making sense. So option A not correct. Information should define as a collection of symbols which okay, that's not making sense. Can be defined as a collection of symbols which when combined okay should be defined as a collection. Well, it's not like there's a specific definition for its information, so we cannot go with the should be part. So that's why option C will be the correct answer, that information can be defined okay as a collection of symbols which when combined communicates a message or intelligence. So option C will be the correct answer for this one. Since sunrise to sunset, my grandmother would sit by her wheel spinning and reciting prayer. Well, you must be, most probably you'll be aware of that part. Well, see, if I'm telling you about the English level that is being asked in the TCS, so it's not that difficult. It's like the simple things which we have already gone through in our school life. Even we have already read all these sort of things, right? So this sort of revision you have to do. You have to practice the question which has been previously asked. I'm not saying that you have to put very much effort. And genuinely, if I say so, I personally think that verbal is such a section where you don't have to put you don't have to put very much effort. But it's the case with me. I'm not saying that it is the case for everyone, because everyone differs in the terms of ability, right? Someone can be good in aptitude, not good in verbal. Someone can be good in logical part, not good in coding. So yeah, some sort of difference is there. But here, as I mentioned, that you have to manage each section, right? So that's what the thing is. Since most you must be knowing that we use since and for with a perfect continuous tense, right? And most probably it will give you the exact time, like 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock. Then there's a use of since. In that scenario, when you are talking about the time phase like is sunrise to sunset, then instead of since, from will be appropriate. From sunrise to sunset, that will be appropriate, right? Since won't be appropriate, because I already told you that since we use in the case of perfect continuous tense, right? So option A is the one that is having some sort of grammatical error. Fine. Okay. Something about the way he spoke stuck a bell in Lauren. Stuck means, first of all, you should be aware of the stuck. Stuck means I got stuck in a problem. It's like something is causing a sort of trouble for you, right? So something, the way he spoke, stuck a bell, doesn't make sense. So where's the error in that particular sentence? Stuck a bell. Now here it is stuck, so it's like it should be here rang a bell. So the way he spoke rang a bell in Lawrence's mind. It should be the correct thing. So stuck a bell is not correct. So option D will be the correct answer. Let's move to the next question. One part of the sentence below may contain an error. Identify the part. If there is no error, choose no error. Everyday life has become more complicated with the advancement in mobile technology. So, life. Are you treating life as a plural? Are you doing so? No, right? Life, it's like generally we are using, and it is treated as what? Singular. That's so obvious. You must be aware of that, right? So using have, is it okay to use have with a singular? No, right? We use what? Has. So it should be everyday life has become more complicated. Okay, so you should be clear on that part. So what is wrong here? Everyday life have become. This part is wrong. Let's move to the next question now. The following three sentences can be revised into one better sentence. So three sentences are given to you. I was at the fair. I got lost. I got scared. So you have to make one better sentences by using them. So I am scared after I am lost at the fair. Like grammatically, it's not sounding well. I went to the fair and got scared as I was lost. I am lost the fair, so I am too scared. Totally wrong. I got lost at the fair and was scared. Yes, this is grammatically correct even, and also it's making sense. So option 4 will be the correct answer. Let's move to our next question. Okay. So government has been promising the eradication. Or try to memorize this vocabulary part. Eradication means removal, right? So try to memorize these sort of things. So government has been promising the removal of child labor in high risk industries in India for many years. However, almost 100 million children are still not able to go to school, and around 10 million are working in dash industry. So honorary, do you really think that honorary will be a suitable word to be placed here? Because here we are talking about something negative. Just try to understand the tone of the statement and what they are trying to say. Handicraft, no, they are nowhere talking about handicraft. Hardware, now obviously they won't say high risk is associated. Just find out the tone of the word by seeing these sort of words which is being high risk industries. So high risk industry, you will be talking about handicraft and hardware. No, right? Hazardous, right? Hazardous means what? Something harmful, something high risking, right? So harmful things we are talking about. So it should be around 10 million are working hazardous industry. Then India has the biggest child population of 380 million in the world. Dash number of children who are forced to earn a living. So you can see this is the population that India has of 380 million in the world. Fine. Now, so we can say what? Lowest, no. Latest, no. Loudest, no. What is making sense? Largest, obviously. Yeah, so that will be the correct answer. So see, this is how, by relating itself also, it's not always you have to be very clear with the grammar part and all. It's that easy. By relating the things also, you can make a sort of conclusion that perhaps that can be a correct answer, right? Saurav Ganguly's comment, there is something positive in everything, implies that he is. Well, he is saying even if something wrong is happening with you, in that case also something positive is here. So in every instance, in every scenario, he's coming out with a positive approach. You can see he's mentioning that there is something positive in everything, whether it's right, whether it's like something that is not according to you, that is according to you, there's something positive. So what we can see, you can see he is very positive person, he's talking about some sort of positivity. So determined, no, we cannot conclude this by this statement. You don't have to directly think about the personality of the sort of Ganguly. Just mention, just think about the statement which is given. You have to drive that particular word from that given a statement. Accident, no, it's totally useless. Adversity, no. Optimistic, optimistic what? The one who is very positive in every case, right? So optimistic will be the correct word here. Next question is, Henry looks carefully into the telescope which lets him see far as the distance nebulae on the far edges of the Milky Way. Henry is in. So you can see he's observing the edges of the Milky Way. So some sort of hint is there. Astrologer, astrologist, astronomer, right? So what will be the correct answer? Astronomer. They do this sort of work, right? So Henry is an astronomer. He looks at the sky and stars in particular, even though he spends much of his time looking at detailed computer reports, which are just list of numbers. His dash thing about his job is looking through the telescope. Favoring, pleasant, pleasing, favorite. Um, well, in that case, there are high chances of two words. Pleasing also. Pleasing, but again, this is not making that much sense. Pleasing, no, pleasing, not pleasant. Yeah, pleasant and favorite. Like there are the chances of these two words, pleasant and favorite, that his pleasant thing about his job. But again, that's not even perfectly fitting in the gap, right? So the most probable word that should be here in the gap, that should be favorite. His favorite thing about his job is looking through the telescope. Fine. So this is how you can relate. You can see that, okay, if there are two words that are looking similar, so just try to fill them in the gap and then make a sort of conclusion that which one is looking fine here according to the given situation. Fill in the blanks with the most appropriate set of words from the options given below. What did the painter do dash himself from falling when he felt the ladder? When he felt the ladder dash, he grabbed the gutter to save himself from falling. What did the painter do to save beginning to slip to save begin to slip for saving? Well, along with do, it's more probably you have to go with this for saving. So what did the painter do for saving himself from falling when he felt the ladder began to slip? Right. So option 4 will be the correct answer for this one. Okay, let's see this part. Again, here you have to choose the proper statements or sentences that should be here. It is neither the size nor the length of the life which makes man human. Fine. Now, man is not a like a tree. So there should be something relatable with that. My friend's brother was a dwarf. So this statement is totally meaningless, right? So this should not even consider. Now you have the remaining two statements. It's like now you have to arrange them. Okay, that which one should come first. So you can directly say here we are talking about that which makes man human. Then you can see this statement, the growth of mind, because here also we are talking something about the growth, the length and all sort of thing. So the growth of mind and intellect is never in proportion to the growth of the human body. And after this, the only remaining statement is this one, that the man may physically attain the size of a giant, yet intellectually he may remain a dwarf. That's why they are saying this statement after this one, that okay, man is not like a tree. Like, so which option will be correct? Option C will be the correct option for this one. Okay, just let me know the meaning of musty in the comment section. What is the meaning of musty? See, vocab will help you a lot, so make sure to go through the previous year questions. I won't say to memorize the dictionary, obviously that is not possible, but the vocab which is most probably been asked, so there are high chances of getting the same sort of question. Right, so you have to tell me the vocabulary of musty in the comment section. What else you can do? Now I have already told you the trick for solving these questions, that try to relate. that here try to read with the statements given. Other, it's very important, it's very easy thing, right? That's the only trick that you can follow to solve as many questions as you can. And once you are confident that okay, you can solve these many questions, you are able to get the correct answer, move to the next part. The next is like fill in the blanks, things that we just discussed, like these sort of things. Close test is very much asked in the TCS part, so make like do sort of practice in that part, right? So practice is the only thing that is going to help you, nothing else can do. So obviously we are also uploading videos to help you all, but at the last you have to put the efforts, right? So this is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching this video. Keep learning guys, keep preparing. Bye bye. Okay, then let's start with our first question. So you can see here we are having that in the following questions, choose the word which is the exact opposite of the given words. So the first word that is given to you in enormous. Now, first of all, what is the meaning of enormous? Enormous means something very large, something huge. So as of now, they are asking about the opposite or basically the antonym. So soft is nowhere related with enormous. Average is also tiny. Tiny means something which is small, right? Tiny means something which is small. So you can see what is the opposite of huge or large. Obviously that is tiny, right? So tiny will be the correct answer for this one. Let's move further. So here we have relinquish. Relinquish, first of all, you should be aware of the meaning. So what do you mean by relinquish? Relinquish means to give up, to leave something, to abdicate. So if abdicate I'm talking about, so this is what, this is the synonym of relinquish, means to leave something, to give up something. Renounce means also the same, to give up, to leave. Possess means what? To occupy something, to gain something. So this word is related with giving up, to leave something, and possess means to get something, to get access of something. So obviously what will happen? Possess will be the antonym of relinquish. And deny is nowhere related. Deny means to refuse about something, right? Quiescent. Now what do you mean by quiescent? Something that is lazy, something that is lazy, कुछ सुस्त सा, right? So this motion na ho, something that is very lazy. This sort of explanation is much for you, right? So now you have to tell what? You have to tell the antonym. So active. Active means something which is energetic, full of energy, and here we are talking about something lazy. So obviously what will be the antonym of quiescent? That will be active. That will be the correct answer, right? Now let's move further. Okay, so here basically you have to read each sentence to find out whether there is any grammatical error in it or not. So first of all, the first focus that you have to put on in these sort of questions where you have to determine the error, and so first take care of the parallelism. Parallelism in the sense that what is the tense followed. It's not like somewhere you are talking in past, somewhere you are talking in future. So parallelism should be there. So take care of the tense and every sort of stuff. The article which has been used, preposition which has been used. Right. So let's start with the first question. Several issues raising in the meeting could be amicably resolved due to his tactful handling. Now, in the meeting could be amicably resolved. It means meeting has been completed or meeting just was in past. But here we are saying several issues raising in the meeting could be resolved due to his tactful handling, right? So raising is not a proper word that should be used here according to the test, because see, meeting has become in the past. So now there is no meeting. So we are remembering something that has been in the past. So it should be raised, right? It should be raised. Several issues raised in the meeting could be amicably resolved due to his tactful handling. She deserted the path of honor in order to satisfy his ambition. So okay, so here that should be a, that's not an error, I by mistake, this is my mistake. Okay, satisfy her ambition and then went down his doom very quickly. Now went down, do you think then went down his doom? Doom here in the sense means to meet something, right? To face something. Now went down is not the proper word that should be used here. No, went down is not the proper word that should be used here. Went down means to it's something related to the retardation, to come down, right? So went down should not be used here. It should be then we can use met here, and then met his her, again here also it should be her, and then met her doom very quickly, right? So met should be the correct word that can be used here, but obviously went down would not be used. Bible can be regarded as a great no error. So this is a very simple error and you'll be able to determine. Now, you know that when we are talking about something specific, like something specific book, like is Bible, Ramayana, Gita. So these are specific books. It's not like there are many Bibles out there. Yeah, obviously the Bible is one. So if you are talking about some specific thing, what do we use? We use the with it. The Bible. It should be the Bible. This article, this definite article should be used. That this is a specific book Bible that we are talking about. So it should be the Bible. So this is the error in the part A. Right. I hope this is clear. Now you can see the questions are really very easy and on basic concepts they are going to check you. If your basic concepts are clear, that's why I'm saying that verbal part is sort of easy. If your basic concepts are clear, right? Because we have already gone through all these things in our school life, so it's just about you have to revise the things, right? Okay, now let's see this. Watermelons dashed to India by the 4th century AD. Now, watermelons go obviously not. Now, see, this is it inclusive test also. Just whatever the options are given to you, try to place them in the gap and then just see whether it's making sense or not. Is it sounding relevant or not? That's what you have to do. So watermelon arrived. Obviously, watermelon is not a train or a person that has been arrived. Grew, no. Grow, no. It should be came. Came would make sense if we are going to place here. So watermelons came to India by the 4th century AD. Then we have Sushruta, the great Indian physician, Dash wrote Sushruta Samhita mentions that watermelons were grown. So the great Indian physician Dash wrote. It means we are talking about this person, that is Sushruta. So did wrote, now with did, do you prefer this form of verb? No, right? So this is totally irrelevant. When wrote, no, it's again wrong. Certainly wrote. Who and whom. So whom is obviously not a, we cannot use this here. That won't make sense and obviously it will be incorrect, right? It should be who wrote. Sushruta Samhita mentions that watermelons were grown dash the bank of the river Indus. So here we are talking about the bank of the river Indus. So what are the options? Let's see. For third, these are the options. Above the river Indus, no. Outside, no. From the river, obviously not. Ahead is also not making sense. It should be along, right? So along the banks of the river Indus dash are also mentioned in ancient books. So it are no, they are yes. This can be a possibility. Some are no, that are no, those are also. It should be they are also mentioned. That should be a correct one. Sushita calls it as Kalinda or Kalinga, hence Kalingat in Marathi. It was dashed to China in the 10th or 11th century. So it was dash took to China, took to China. Is it fine? Is it making sense? It like it was took to China. It was gave. Is it any sort of gift that you are going to give to China? No. It was taken. This can be possibility. It was taken. No. It was taken. No. So option C will be the correct one. Then we have in the 10th or 12th, 11th century and dash it is grown throughout the tropics and so now it should be and also though tomorrow soon no they are not making sense. It should be and now it is grown throughout the tropics. Wild watermelons are dash compared to cultivated ones, some of which weigh up to 25 kg. So here they are talking about sort of weight. So heavier and heavier is there, taller, thinner, smaller, or shorter. Shorter, like they are not is going to be happen. Like obviously you can easily eliminate them. Now from heavier and smaller you can choose the smaller one, because you can say they are saying that wild watermelons are smaller compared to cultivated ones, some of which weigh up to 25 kg, right? So as if they are mentioning that one is the heavier, so it should be smaller. The heaviest fruit, weighing 118 kg, was produced at Hope, Arkansas, USA, the state to which President Clinton rules. No, rules won't be a correct word to use here. Brew, no. Elected, it should be belongs. It means we are saying that President Clinton related or belongs to that particular place. Okay. Now here, these are the simple things we have already discussed in the previous video. You have to basically arrange those statements. Now follow the same strategy that I told you in the previous video itself. Also, if you haven't watched the previous video, make sure to watch so that you can get a proper understanding, a proper grasp on the concept. That is very important for solving the questions. And see, practice as many questions as you can so that you can be clear and confident about your concepts. So here we have smoke oozed up between the planks. So as of now, you are talking about the smoke. Smoke. Try to find out a statement which is somewhat related with the smoke. So you can see we are having flames broke out here and there. So as if smoke oozed up, so obviously what will happen? Flames broke out here and there. Let's move to the last part. If you are saying most people bore the shock bravely. So as if the last statement is about people, it means the statement before this should also be somewhat related to people. You can see this is the statement related. Passengers were told to be ready to quit the ship. So this is 100% sure that T is going to be the last statement, like this arrangement thing. So R and Q, obviously they cannot be the correct one, so you can easily eliminate them. See, by elimination also you can reach to your correct answer even if you are some sort of confused or not here. So they are a possibility. Now as I just told that smoke goes up between the planks, then after this H should be the correct one. So you can see this is starting with Q, which is not correct, so option A will be the correct one. Let's read this again to find whether it's sounding proper or not. So smoke oozed up between the planks, flames broke out here and there. Then everyone now knew there was fire on the board, and the rising gale fanned the smoldering fire. Passengers were told to be ready to quit the ship, and most people board the shop bravely. So yeah, that's totally fine and it's making sense. So let's move ahead. The word sari means strip of cloth in Sanskrit, but for the Indian women and a few men who have been dashed themselves in silk, cotton, or linen for millennia, these sweats of fabric are more than just simple garments. So, trying binding, with sari or any kind of cloth that we're using. So, for in the form of sari, we say draping, right? Draping the sari and doing the thing. So draping should be the correct word here, that it has been who have been wrapping themselves in silk, cotton, or linen for millennia. These sweats of fabric are more than just simple garments. They are symbols of national pride, ambassadors for a traditional, outdated, no, obviously that's totally wrong. Fixed, no. Habitual, traditional. So as if this is somewhat related to our tradition, so it should be option D, that is traditional in India's 29 states, design and craftsmanship, and a prime example of the, okay, so it should be ambassadors for design and craftsmanship and a prime example of the rich difference. And after this, it should come that in India's 29 states, right? So here for traditional design, so it should be here traditional, right? Okay, then let's move to our next question. The father, okay, so here you have to choose the correct preposition and fill in the blanks. The father said to his child, "You must be back." Now, along with time, we prefer what? By. So that's obvious that it should be by 8 o'clock, by 4 o'clock. In, on, to, there's no possibility of using them. So that will be the correct answer. Let's see our next question now. Okay, so choose the option which is synonymous with the meaning of the word. Now, angry. Angry means when you are annoyed, right? जब आप गुस्सा होते हो. So you can directly find, even if you are not aware of the meaning of these words, although angry is very easy word and perhaps you are going to get in this in your test, but that's okay. Let's revise this as well. Furious. Furious means annoyed, angry hona, right? So this will be the correct answer for this one. Now you have to tell me the meaning of precipitous and hasty. So in the comment section, mention the meaning of these two words, and obviously when you are writing, this is going to be memorized in your brain. So it will be easy for you to memorize these words if you are writing them. That's why it's mostly recommended that whatever you are uh, learning, just write this now, right? So choose the option which is synonymous with the meaning of the word offbeat. Offbeat, something that usually does not happen, okay, or inordinary, right? So that usually does not happen. So ordinary will be the antonym but not synonym. Unusual. Unusual, yes, that is the synonym of offbeat. Correct and compassion is nowhere related, right? So these were the questions for this video. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys.
Hey, hello everyone. Welcome back to another verbal ability video. This is the question paper of TCS NQT, specifically asked on 12th of September. So we are looking at the verbal ability questions asked on 12th of September. So technically this document also contains the answers, but I will be explaining each question, the approach to solve them, and how to look after all of them in detail in this video. So let us look at the first question. So it is trying to tell that some part of the sentence may contain an error. Here you only have to identify the part which could possibly have an error. And if there's no error, just choose no error. That's what the first question is asking you. Let's look at the question. The new computation algorithm combines scores with multiple measures of quantitative assessment. The new computation algorithm combines scores with multiple measures of quantitative assessment. So if you look at this question in specific, there is no error as such. That's why we are going to go for C. There is no error with the grammar or no error with the prepositions that have been used. So that's why we go with C. Let us look at the second question. Select the most appropriate option to fill in the blanks. Children were quite sad when they did not see butterflies flitting dash the flowers. Flitting where? Flitting in the flowers, right? So that's the answer. So how do you go with the approach? See, when you're talking about something, right, where we talk about flit, we talk about fit, where we talk about get, where we talk about all of these, we try to use the preposition in because it is happening in the flowers, right? So that's why. Question number 3, select the most appropriate option. We have found that between Vinaya and Akriti, Vinaya makes dash errors in her work. So now if you look at this, here we're specifically talking about errors. How do we measure errors? When they're talking about what to choose, errors is something that is quantifiable, right? So how do you, when you measure the quantity, what are the verbs that you use? Quantity, numbers, right? When we talk about numbers, when we talk about something quantifiable, we talk about more, we talk about few, right? So we have to look for these options. Largest errors, no. Smallest errors, no. Shortest errors, no. Fewer errors, correct. So here when we're talking about quantifying the errors, we're trying to say it's few or it's a lot. So that's why the correct answer is option D. Question number 4. One part of the sentence below may contain an error. Identify the error. All the students of the class decided to head to the principal's office to complain for the new teacher's misconduct. Complain for the new teacher's misconduct. See, technically, this is actually a wrong question, right? Here, it should have been about the new teacher's misconduct, right? But then since there's no option here, I think that's why the correct answer selected is C. See, they're going to be, either it could be like the question paper error or it is to trick you, right? These are the two things that most of these people do. They will give you the exact same answer in the question and they will also give you no error. Technically, if that's the correct answer, then you're going to go for no error, right? But in these cases, you always go for the whatever is written exactly as same as the question, okay? So let's look at the fifth question. Sorry. Okay, let's look at the fifth question. Read the following passage and fill in the blanks by selecting the most appropriate option. Sailing is fun, but it takes work and muscles to keep the sailboat moving. One will have to constantly dash, search, scrutinize, check, scan the weather, and adjust the sails to turn the boat in the required direction. One will have to dash the weather. Here, search is to look for. Do you have to look for the weather? No, that is not something that you can do. Scrutinize. Scrutinize means to interrogate, to put through a check, right? This scrutinize is like investigate, okay? Check. Yes, check the weather because you have to check. This is something that you can check. Scan the weather. Weather is not something that you can scan. You can only check. You can see the forecast. That's why. So let's move to the next one. It also takes a lot of dash to raise the mast
and sails before you start enjoying the freedom of exploring new places in your sailboat. It also takes a lot of attempt. Attempt means to give it a try. Do you have to give it a try? No. Effort. Yes. You also have to give it a lot of effort. It also takes a lot of strife. Yes, it also takes a lot of strife. Endeavor. So now here we know the option is C. We have to check. So CD, CB, and so now you know it's either D or B. It also requires a lot of effort. So the correct answer is C for the fifth one. Okay, one part of the sentence below may contain an error. Identify the error or choose no error. Okay, so Mrs. Diggle wanted her children to be hardworking, sincere, and punctual. There's no error. Mr. Diggle wanted her children. She wanted her children to be hardworking, sincere, and punctual. There's no error in this sentence, so that's why we are going to choose no error. One part of the sentence below may contain an error. Identify the error or choose the same kind of question. If there is an error, you just have to choose that part. And if there is no error in the given sentence, then you are only going to choose no error. Okay? He had been married with a doctor for 5 years. Now, if you see this part of the sentence, right? He had been married with a doctor. No, you do not marry with a doctor. You marry to a doctor. You marry to someone, right? You get married to someone. To is the correct preposition that is to be used. So that's why this part of the sentence has a problem with the doctor. Answer is D. Because you get married to someone, not with someone. Okay. So let's look at the eighth question. Select the most appropriate option to fill in the blanks. Shreya will keep working for you, dash, you are respectful towards her, as long as you are respectful towards her. So the option is C. As long as is something that we use in the sentence that signifies a condition. I am going to be nice to you as long as you get my work done. You know, it comes with a condition. And in statements like these, we use as long as phrase. Okay. One part of the sentence below may contain an error. Identify the error or choose no error. The children are quick to grasp, isn't it? Now look at this part of the question, right? So the children are, we're talking about the children, right? So it should end with aren't they? Because the children are quick to grasp. Whatever you're going to use here, right? That is the same thing that is going to end. If you're using the children are, then you're going to end it with aren't they. Or if you're saying something, she is going to the market, because you have used is in the sentence, you're going to end it with isn't she. Okay. It's a cat, isn't it? They are dogs, aren't they? So it works like that. So now this part of the sentence has the problem. So the correct answer is isn't she. It should have been aren't they. Some sentences are missing from the given text. Choose from the list A to C the most appropriate sentence for each gap in the text. There is one extra sentence that you do not need to use. So they're telling that you have to use 2 sentences according to what suits the best. But they have given you 3 options. So one option you should not use. This is what the question number 10 says. Okay, let's look at the question quickly. Albert Einstein always had a clear view of problems of physics. Okay, he had a very clear view of problems of physics. Let's look at the options. In 1919, Einstein and his wife, Mileva Maric, were divorced. He also had the determination to solve them. Einstein regarded his major achievements as mere stepping stones for the next achievements. Okay, I'm going to give you a cheat code when you are trying to solve these kind of problems. Okay, this first sentence says Albert Einstein always had a clear view of problems of physics. Right here, it already introduced Albert Einstein. The sentence is not going to start with Albert Einstein again. It is going to start with he, because the first introductory sentence already talked about Albert Einstein. So whatever sentences are going to follow, they are going to use the words, whatever his noun is going to be, that is going to be used here. Okay. So it's he. Okay. Pronoun is he. So that's why it's going to start with he. Okay. So amongst all 3 sentences, you know that the one starting with he is second. He also had the determination to solve them. So that comes here. He had, see, again, third sentence. If you look at the third sentence, he again, because it's a pronoun. The only sentence which is going to have the name is the introductory sentence, which is going to be the first sentence. The rest of the sentence are always going to have pronouns used. He had a strategy of his own and was able to visualize the main stages on the way to his goal. Okay. And next, until then it's over. Now, dash, he received the Nobel Prize in 1921. So if you look at this part, it's telling, this is again an introductory sentence because here it's over. Now a new paragraph is starting. It is talking about Nobel Prize. So there has to be some connection with Nobel Prize. So that's why Einstein regarded his major achievements as mere stepping stones for the next. Okay, this is the right answer because here we're talking about him winning a Nobel Prize, and this sentence in specific talks about his major achievements. This is how you're going to choose the sentences. You have to, one, always remember that the first introductory sentence is always going to start with the name. And the rest of the sentences are going to use the pronouns of the person who you're introducing. Okay, these two things are very important that you have to keep in mind. Moving on. What we're talking about is here, whatever sentences have in some interconnection between the two, you're always going to choose them for the right answer. This is the cheat code that you're going to follow in case your English isn't as good. Okay, let's look at question number 11. For 4 sentences S1 to S4 paragraph below, sentences S1 and S4 are given. From the options P, Q, R, choose the appropriate sentences for S2 and S3 respectively. Okay, here what they're telling, S1 is given, S4 is given. S2 and S3 are not given. You have to choose from the options P, Q, R, which fits into it perfectly. Okay. So S1, ginger is commonly consumed aromatic spice which contains a bioactive compound called gingerol. So we're done with this, right? Now you have to try to find the connection. It is ending with gingerol. Which sentence is now starting with gingerol? Gingerol has anti-inflammatory and antioxidative effects. So this is going to be your S2. Okay. This is talking about anti-inflammatory, antioxidative efforts. Okay. So let's look at the other ones. Now we've talked about gingerol. Now it is known to calm nausea and enhance the immune system. The reason why we're going to go for P here is because here, if you look carefully, anti-inflammatory, as in it is not going to inflammate you. Antioxidative, as in it is going to help your immune system. So these two sentences have some interconnection. And finally, but some people, or if you go backwards also, if you try to backtrack, but some people complain of bloating and heartburn when they have consumed high doses of ginger. So the last sentence is talking about bloating, heartburn. Bloating, nausea, heartburn, immune system, they are somehow related. That's why the correct answer is RP. Let's check. Yes, the answer is RP. Answer is D. Okay. Same again, 4 sentences are supposed to be written here. S1 and S4 are given. S2 and S3 should be chosen from PQR. My mother had been overweight since she was a child and lost weight only after she got married. Okay. Now, like we are talking about it, right? My mother. Now, as per the cheat code, it's going to start from her pronoun. Pronoun is she because mother is a she. So the correct answer is going to be either she or her, either of them, right? You have to choose from P or R. Let's look. She started giving me lectures on the importance of meditation and breathing exercise. Here, this sentence has no relationship with S1 because here it's only talking about her mother being overweight. But sentence R, her memory of overcoming severe problems of obesity kicked in as soon as my weight and health became her obsession. Now, if you look at sentence R, she was overweight, right? And her memory of severe problems of obesity. So here it's also talking about obesity. So these two sentences have some correlation between the two. So the correct answer is R. S2 becomes R. Now let us backtrack using S4 to S3. There were no use crying to my grandmother as she was absolved of her own responsibilities. Okay. So here, if you look at it, because her mother started to her memory of overcoming severe problems of obesity kicked in. What did she do? Her food was regulated The daughter's food was regulated. She decided when, what, and how much. Okay, so this is what the correct answer is. The final actual answer to this is RQ. Okay, which is option D. Okay, let's look at question number 30. You are going to read civilization, choose from the list A to C and fill the gaps. So again, same thing. 2 gaps are given. Out of 3, you only have to use 2. Okay. Civilization's progress must be measured in proportion to man's success in meeting the challenges of nature. Okay. Now let's look at the options that we have. But the advancement in science and technology is undoubtedly a mixed blessing. Okay. There has been such an increase in people's awareness of the consequences of such progress. Okay. We are bringing our industrial progress to make the world better and more comfortable to place to live in. Okay, so the first sentence, if you look at, civilization progress must be measured to proportion to man's success in meeting the challenges of nature. It is talking about civilization and the progress. Okay. So if you look at the 3 sentences which have a close correlation between the two, is this one. We are bringing industrial progress to make the world, because first one is talking about progress. Now, if you look at the sentence C, it is also talking about progress. Okay. It is once a threat to the sustainable evolution of man. Okay. And dash, but if the current trend continues going on unchecked, the future of life on earth will be endangered. All right. So here it's talking about a problem. But if it is going on unchecked, then it will be endangered. The life of earth will be endangered. Okay. So here, this is what it is talking about. It was a threat, right? It's talking about threat. Here it's talking about success. So if you look closely, this is the sentence that is talking about the paradox, the differences, right? But the advancement in science and technology is undoubtedly a mixed blessing. Mixed blessing as in it has problems also attached to it. That's what it's talking about. So the correct option here is CA, which is option C. Okay, now let's move to the 14th question. Read the following passage and fill in the blanks by selecting the most appropriate option. Mamallapuram, also known as Mahabalipuram, is about 55 kilometers from the city of Chennai. The East Coast Road takes you to consequential, momentous, historic, faithful. Okay. Let's move back and look at the question. The East Coast Road takes you to this, which is on the shore of the Bay of Bengal. Which is on the shore of Bay of Bengal. So the East Coast takes you to consequential. Consequential as in something that is in a consequence. Momentous, historic, faithful. Historic is something that is related to history. Faithful is something that has some fate attached to it, right? That has happened due to a cause. So the correct answer here is historic. Okay, because it has history. We're talking about Mahabalipuram. All right. So this 7th century city was once a dash seaport, is now famous for its rock-cut short temples. Frantic, stuffed, swamped, busy. Okay. This 7th century city, which was once a dash seaport. We're talking about a seaport. What can a seaport be? Can it be frantic? Can it be stuffed? Can it be swamped? Can it be busy? A seaport is going to be busy. So that's why the correct option is D. Question number 15. One part of the sentence below may contain an error. You have to identify that. If there's no error, then just choose no error. One of the unreturned book was found in the parking lot. One of the unreturned book was found in the parking lot. Technically, there's no error. But like I told you, right? This is very tricky. One of the unreturned book. One of the unreturned books, right? One of the unreturned books. One of the lot of books, right? So that's why this has to be one of the unreturned books. So that's the error here. One part of the sentence below, same again. The soldiers, in an attempt of showing their loyalty towards their king, fought ruthlessly until the end of the war. the soldiers, in an attempt of showing their loyalty towards their king, fought ruthlessly until the end of the war. There's no error with this one. It says soldiers, in an attempt of showing. Oh, in it. No, the correct answer should be D. The soldiers, in an attempt of showing their loyalty towards, in an attempt of showing. Attempt of showing. See, the correct answer should be no error. I don't think there's an error with this one. The following sentence pair can be combined into better sentence. Choose the option. Okay. My mother made me join 7 different sports activities at the time I was just 9. Okay. So you have to find the sentence which can be combined into better sentence. My mother made me join 7 different sports when I was just 9. Yes, this is correct. Because I was 9, my mother made me join. No, this is wrong. This author is telling that the mother made him or her join 7 sports and he was or she was just 9, right? While I was 9, my mother made me join. Okay, this is also fine. While this author was 9, 7 were joined. But here, if you look at the question, right, the whole focus is on the author being just 9. Okay, so now let's look at the 19th question. For the sentence, 4 sentences, S1 and S4 paragraph below, same again. S1 and S4 is going to be given. You have to choose from 3 options given, P, Q, R, which fits the best into S2 and S3. Okay, let's look at the statement 1. In the early years, when long trade voyages were undertaken that would take months or maybe even a year to reach to a destination, coconuts were granted a special place on board. Okay, here we're talking about long trade voyages, as in long journeys that would be taking months or even years to reach the destination. Coconuts were given a very special position on board. Okay, so let's see which of these matches closest, like which has the best correlation. By and large, the coconut water was drunk and pulp was eaten. Yes, the best part of the fruit was that there were no choice chances of it going bad. The voyages were rife with difficulties and hardships. Okay, here we're talking about coconuts. So out of P, Q, R, if you see P and Q are talking about coconut, but Q has starts the sentence with D. The here becomes the pronoun, right? The article of technically here we're starting it with a pronoun. The becomes the article, but it also is here is the pronoun of the fruit, right? So the correct answer is P, because this also closely talks about water in a very sensical manner. If you look at this, by and large, the coconut water was drunk and pulp was eaten. Okay. Now let's look at the 4th sentence and then we will backtrack the 3rd sentence. Its popularity has recently increased, although they were grown in tropical regions for more than 4,500 years. Okay, so the voyages were rife. No, it is not even talking about the difficulties, the hardships, or the journeys. Here, it's only talking about the fruit here, even the last sentence. That's why the correct answer option is Q, and the right answer is going to be D because PQ. Okay. Read the following passage and answer the questions. After selecting, click and save. Okay, so now there's a paragraph, there's a passage given that you have to read and some questions are asked. Okay, and I want you to give some really, see, this is going to be a quick test. Okay, so what I would recommend you to do is, if there are a lot of questions asked from one passage, then read the passage thoroughly. But if there's only 1 or 2 questions asked from one passage, you cannot afford spending 10 minutes on a passage to answer one question. That is not a wise thing to do in the test. Okay. So if you look at this of them, out of all of these, see, there's only one question asked. Okay. There aren't any more questions asked in the passage. That's why just give it a quick read and answer the question. Don't give it a thorough read, okay? The Royal Bengal tiger is one of the majestic creatures of the world. The typical male weighs about 300 kilograms and is about 8 to 10 feet tall, whereas female is about 180 kilograms and 8 to 9 feet in height. Okay, see, we're talking about Royal Bengal tiger. So it is very majestic, very huge, very fierce, very powerful, okay? Male is about 300 kilograms, it's about 30 kgs, and they are 8 to 10 feet tall. While females are only 180 kgs, but they're 8 to 9 feet in height. Okay. Despite its heavy body, the tiger can run at a speed of 60 km per hour and also climb trees for its prey when necessary. This tiger, although it weighs that much, but can also run at a speed of 60 kilometers per hour. It's very fast. Okay. And it can also climb trees whenever necessary. The mangroves of Sundarbans, being its habitat, the Royal Bengal tiger is a great swimmer too. It also swims really well. The night vision of this tiger is 6 times that of the humans, and hearing is 5 times that of the humans. They can hear 6 times better than us. They can see 6 times better than us in the night, and they can hear 5 times better than us. Just like human fingerprints, each tiger has a unique pattern of stripes that does not match any other tigers. Okay, all the patterns are different. Like we have our thumbprints different, right? They have their patterns different. They don't match with any other tiger. The tiger does not forget faces, has a memory stronger than most of the animals in the wild. Often portrayed as savage, this tiger is caring, protective towards its family. So here it's trying to say that this tiger has a very sharp memory, and although it is shown like it's very fierce, very powerful, very savage, but this is very protective, very caring. Okay. When a killing happens, the male tiger eats the females, and children have had their feast. So the male kills, and the female and the children have their feast. Unlike how humans, the endangered species of India, loves to live in a companionless environment. They don't like like they usually just live like family. Okay, a family alone. Now let's look at the question. Why is it surprising that Royal Bengal tigers can run fast? Because they're heavy, right? This is what the sentence is. Despite its heavy body, the tiger can run at a speed of 60 kilometers an hour. Because they're majestic? No. Because they weigh 200 to 300 kilograms? Yes. Because they live in secluded mangroves? No. Because they're all at least 8 feet tall? No. We're talking about despite its heavy body. That's why. Because of the weight. And correct answer is B. Which of the following sentences uses formal languages? Formal languages, where polite, okay, formal, where you have some respect to give and take. Living up the atmosphere, my friend. We're talking about friend. Informal. Hooray, we won the game. It's very joyous, so informal. May I suggest you better option that will suit your style more? Yes, this is formal. Stop making excuses of your behavior. Again, this is informal. So the correct answer is C. The following sentences can be revised into one better sentence. So all of this one can be revised into a better sentence. So grizzly bears are fierce animals. Polar bears are known as fierce. Grizzly bears and polar bears are fierce animals. Okay. Grizzly bears are fierce animals just as same as polar bears. No. Grizzly bears are as fierce as polar bears. Yes, perfect. Grizzly bears are fierce animals like polar bears. Out of 4 of these options, the best suited option is C. That's why we're going to go for C. Choose from. It's the same pattern again. What is happening is 2 blanks are given, but you are supposed to be choosing from 3 different sentences, out of which you only have to select 2 sentences and 1 is to be left. Okay. So in the last few years, we have seen the Prime Minister meet and greet school children after delivering his Independence Day speech. Now you have to select the statement. See, if you like, this is what I've told you, right? Look at the correlation between the sentences. Okay. So out of the 3 sentences, this year, however, the interaction between the Prime Minister and school children could not happen. No, it did happen because he was there to deliver the speech. This year also, PM ignored all safety protocols. This is like a very negative statement, but if you look at the whole paragraph, it talks in a positive sense. So now, out of these 3, right, only AC is happening. AC is the only answer that you can go for. C, this year has seen their suffering ranging from climbing anxiety level to heartbreaking academic setbacks. So B is definitely going to be eliminated because it's such a negative statement, right? A and C are the right answers, and you have to see which one is going to fit in where. So in the last few years, we have seen the Prime Minister meet and greet school children after delivering his Independence Day speech. This year, however, the interaction between the Prime Minister and school children could not happen. In the very year that the pandemic has rescinded their invitation to the fort, children have to be heard more than ever before. This year has seen their suffering ranging from climbing anxiety level to heartbreaking academic setbacks. So the correct option is D, A, and C. Okay. Let's look at question number 25. You are going to read text about transformation cells. Some sentences are missing from the text. Choose the list A to C, the most appropriate sentence for each gap. This one is, there's one extra sentence. It's the same. There are two gaps given. You have to select two sentences out of the three. Transformation is usually painful because it involves a process, a means to find an end. Okay. Attainment, on another hand, is happiness because you gained what you wanted. Without process, however, there is no achievement, so there is no gain without pain. How long the process continues will depend on how fast we learn our lessons. So always remember the correlation rule. Now, the first sentence is talking about transformation is painful. It is talking about pain. So which other sentences talk about pain? Or sentence B. So the correct order is B first because it has a relation with pain. Look at the third sentence. In pain is our true enlightenment as our critical lessons are learned here. Okay, we're talking about lessons now. So out of option A and C, which talks about lessons, option C. How long the process continues will depend on how fast we learn our lessons. For humans, evolution is painfully slow as it takes the longest to learn. You only have to correlate what the first sentence is talking about, so you can come up with the second sentence. That's the cheat code to this. So the correct answer is B, C, which is option A. All right, let's look at question number 26. So the following sentences can be revised into a better sentence. There's this sentence, you have to just revise them into better sentence, okay? Mark Twain is the author of Huckleberry Finn. Huckleberry Finn is a classic American novel. Okay, Mark Twain has written the book Huckleberry, and they're telling that this is a very classic American novel. So which options can it be replaced with? Let's look at the options. Mark Twain is an author of classic American novel Huckleberry Finn. Yes, very much suitable. Mark Twain is the author of Huckleberry Finn, which is a classic American novel. Yeah, that's also fine. Mark Twain is an author, Huckleberry Finn, and it's a classic novel. Okay, that's also fine. Huckleberry Finn is a classic novel for which Mark Twain is the author. Last one is grammatically slightly incorrect because it is more informal. Out of all the options, 1, 2, and 3 are meaningful, but the best suited is option A. Okay, let's move to the question number 27.